Okay, that's okay. Alright, so now that you guys have an idea, some of you already came here with your own characters, and some of you had to make new ones. Now that you have an idea of what your character is like, personality-wise and looks and stuff, now I'm gonna hand it over to Carlos, and we're gonna kind of move on to this part, the character design. In this sheet, I want you to draw like the final one. So I think it's a good idea to, I'm gonna get some scratch paper. Use your scratch paper or your sketchbook or whatever to kind of start doodling. And Carlos is gonna take you guys through the character design, the drawing part of it. And then once you're a little more sure about what your character is gonna look like, then you can draw it in the workbook itself. The final design.
All right. I'm gonna hand out some tracing paper too. Tracing paper is your friend. So it helps you when after you start drawing, you sketch out your characters. Or if you want to like copy off another character, and I have all these comics here, kind of to get an idea how to get the shape right, or help you kind of supplement what you can't draw too well. Tracing helps. You got one. Maybe? You're married, right? Not married. Good. Okay, so when you get into designing your characters, you can use the internet, you got Pinterest or Google. What you want to do is pick out the things that you wrote about to kind of see how that's going to be part of the character's look. So like if you have a football player, you're going to have like shoulder pads, like a helmet, super characters, they have the Wolverine, he has like the scratches and stuff, he has the claws and everything. When you're drawing aliens, you're going to draw from what kind of aliens you've seen and like, and kind of take and pick what kind of stuff you like about those characters you draw into your own. Alright? So like for one girl, you see on her chest, she has a pair of lungs, right? Pretty obvious. Superman got a big S on his chest. Batman has a big bat on his chest. Spider-Man has spider webs throughout his old suit. Right? So think about the characteristics that's going to make up your character. Like if it's a cop, police officer, what kind of police officer, where they're from, like the architect. Think about what they do and what makes them look the way they do. And that's how you're going to kind of start designing your character. Anybody have any questions? Questions? Huh? We're just kind of doing okay. Yeah.
You guys came here ready. Characters, stories, it's cool.
Almost time for this part.
If you guys have questions, need help drawing something, feel free to ask. If you can't figure out how to draw a body costume or logo or something. You need ideas for it.
They get it.
I know, you guys are already there, you don't need this class. You get to look at comics maybe? Let me put some of these on that table too.
Yeah, we can take those out.
Yeah, you guys feel free to look at some of these. And
Fill out the supplies and stuff there in the corner. I don't think anybody's coming in late.
yeah, I don't think it is. It's always good to look at comics to kind of figure out what your style and everything. It's when you're starting off, it's always good to look at comics as a reference to kind of help you find your style.
You think of them too, like, think of their faces, what kind of facial expressions they make. You know, how would they look like if they're happy, if they're mad, upset, different kind of emotional states. You know, think about what kind of clothes they wear. They have an alter ego, they'll wear a t-shirt sometimes, and they would switch into a suit, what their costume looks like, you know, their animal type, you know, that transforms into some kind of beast or something. We try to get, you know, different angles and stuff like that.
You guys all have names for your characters? Yeah? Okay. What's your character called?
She doesn't really have a superhero name, because I can't think of that, but her name is Mercy.
That sounds like a superhero name, Mercy. Okay. Cool. What about John? What's your superhero names?
Airlift.
What is it?
Airlift.
Airlift. Okay.
Sealand. It's not a superhero, it's just named Sealand.
Sealand. Okay. Cool. Sealand. you have a name for your character? What is it? The architect. Oh yeah, duh. Okay. And then what's your character name? No shapeshifter. Shapeshifter. Okay. You guys have good names. I can tell what the superpowers are from your names too. If they're a superhero. This is the grown-up table, you know. I had to leave. She's like, she's like, grown-ups
Be
are
around
boring.
old people.
Yeah. Exactly. Grown-ups are boring. So you've got your highlighter and stuff.
Mr. Harris, you mind if I just add your name here?
Oh,
It's just for
yes,
attendance sake.
please. How big would you like to be? How big? It's up to you.
You mean like the drawing of the character?
I mean, I don't know what would
You could. Yeah, it's always easier to start small, but whatever you could fit.
you can fit on
Yeah.
paper.
And when you draw smaller, you can kind of figure out things faster. But if you draw big, you're more comfortable that way.
If you need more scratch paper too, we have more.
I just want one newsletter.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Just do the whole thing on this piece of paper, I'm just gonna have to trace it
Mhm.
on here. Oh my.
Okay. And what's your superhero name? Oh, you have a whole group?
Echo,
Echo.
so it could be anything, and I realized as I was doing it, I was basically ripping off Darkman, but.
Hey, you gotta get inspired from somewhere, so.
Batman was ripped off of Zorro.
Right.
Hulk was ripped off of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So.
It's inspiration, it's not ripping off.
Yeah, it goes like you said, Darkman.
Borrowing, liberal,
Borrowing.
appropriating.
Taking the good parts.
Hey, put your own spin on it, that's what it's about.
You gotta draw inspiration from somewhere. Yeah, my character's different. He's from Atlanta. You know, you can make him different. It's all about the story more than the character as much.
Okay.
You know, like what you're taking from somebody else.
Do you have books?
Yeah, we have our
Yeah.
own books, they're a couple of them. Not this one, that one and that one's his story and his art, that one's my story and the other, books. And then there's the other one. Oh, right here, yeah, that one, okay. And this one's his art and his story.
Sharpie somewhere in there.
There, quick.
You're doing the same thing. Struggling with something?
Well, I was trying to base this to this, but it's not exactly.
Yeah, the easier part is to try to draw it on this paper, and then you put the paper over it,
Yeah.
and then you use the pencil. That way you can kind of keep erasing, and then this will be the good version, and then you can transfer over to another one. Does that make sense? Like the same way you did this one from like, the other book, to kind of get the body shape and everything. So yeah, don't be afraid to use the pencil, it erases. Sometimes the marker's a little, it's permanent, so it kind of gets tricky.
And what's the highlighters for?
Highlighters for drawing the under layer. Kind of just gotta get drawing the shapes and everything. So, yeah, let me do the demo about that. Everybody kind of got started. But yeah, if you want to use the highlighters, it's kind of good to kind of figure out the shape of your character. Like, do they have like, square head, round head, triangle head, think about what do they put, if they have any kind of accessories, glasses, if they have a hat or something, what kind of hairstyle they have. So I like to use the highlighter because you can kind of draw over it kind of easily. And just kind of work, think about the shape. Like, if it's like a skinny person, they're gonna have like a skinny head. If they're gonna be like a fat person, they're gonna have like a big old kind of fat head with a fat round body, fat legs, fat feet. Alright. They're like a superhero kind of thing that they're gonna have big old shapes and stuff. Alright. Let's see, oh no, this is gonna
This
hurt
board
too.
is not.
So I just wrote some regular paper.
We're working with
Mhm.
that.
So, you guys want to learn how, like, the fastest way to draw your characters? You guys want to learn the fastest way? So, you guys have an idea of what your character is like up here, right? We wrote the story out, but we might be struggling how to make it look as good on the paper. So, we already talked about some shapes. You kind of look at the characters, fat and round, skinny. But you want to start with stick figures. Everybody could draw a stick figure. The easiest way to know how to draw is making lines and shapes, right? Circle, square, and lines. And there's also triangles and stuff like that. So what you want to do is think about, most heads are kind of round, and every character has a spine, like a body gonna move around, jump, whatever. So they're just standing straight, the line of action. You're gonna draw their back. Then most likely gonna be standing, give them some feet, legs, and then some feet. Alright? Shoulders, neck, head. This is the skeleton. From the skeleton, they're gonna have elbows and hands. Alright? In the middle, rib cage and hips. These three main circles is the body of the character. You could draw 3 circles in a stick figure. You can make any character. Right? So even if it's animal, if it's like superhero, if it's a regular person, just think about, well, they're gonna have a head, they're gonna have a back, they're gonna have legs and feet, torso, rib cage, and arms. When you're standing, where your arms go to? About halfway down your feet, right? So they're gonna be around here, elbows right underneath, right to your hips, underneath your torso. So we got here. After we got our stick figures, now we get to make a mannequin. So to make a mannequin, you're gonna start filling in. You got the shape, the basic shapes, but then you're gonna put shapes, tubes into the arms and legs. Alright. And then the hips and the rib cage, they attach to each other, so let's attach them. So this isn't gonna be like the prettiest thing, but it's about learning how to draw the shape for any kind of angles you want to do, and how to look at shapes that, you know, characters that you like, you want to trace over, and how to break it down and make and give it your own flavor. So we got a body here. After we got the mannequin, you can put the muscles or the clothes on it. Right? So let's say we want to draw, now we got a long girl here, right? So you have, when it comes to like younger characters, little girls, little kids, they have big heads, little bodies. So, and for a girl about her age, she's about 12 or so, little chibis, they're gonna have about 3 heads tall. Like regular people, they're gonna have about 8 heads or so. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, 4 heads is where people bend down, that's halfway through. 1 head is about here. In between, you can kind of get an idea. But back to long girl. She has a big old head, little body, and she has small feet. She's about 3 heads big. That's kind of just a checklist. Now that, so we got the stick figure. And then what we do next? Huh? The mannequin, right? Let's give her some legs. So when you draw the feet, the top of your leg from your hips to your knees is the same as from your knees to your feet. So just think like, okay, divide them in half. You got knees, your arms are about the same length, from your wrist to your elbow, shoulder to your elbow. So here to here should be about the same size. Alright? So let's make this mannequin here. She doesn't kind of have a neck. Little kid characters usually have like little necks and just big old heads with no necks. Right? She has it. And then you got the hands. Feet. Right? She's gonna have her lungs, you know, her symbol here, her lungs. And arrangement of her chest. Like we talked about the rib cage. So we have the body now, but when you're drawing the face, the easiest way to draw the face, you want to know how to make a mannequin for the face too. Like the eyes on your characters, they're halfway between your heads. That way, if you make your heads eyes too high, you're gonna have like little foreheads. If you're too low, you're gonna have big old foreheads. So just think about whatever your eyes are in your head, they're halfway through the head. And halfway through from your eyes to your chin, that's where the nose goes. Halfway through from your nose to your chin, that's where your mouth goes. Right? So this is just like the underdrawing. This isn't like the final thing. You don't want to draw with like a permanent marker. You want to start with like light pencil drawing, not even drawing too hard. Just kind of like something to kind of start thinking about how to build up your character. Right? So now that we got the eyes in, where the eyes are supposed to be, then you can start putting the details in. You know, do they have like what kind of like anime eyes, big ol' eyes, you know, dot eyes, realistic eyelashes. And when it comes to the nose, do they have like a big old round nose, little tiny nose? You know, her, she just has little button nose. Kind of looks like a U. When you're thinking about the mouth, it's just going to be like an open mouth or closed mouth. You know, because just a closed mouth is kind of boring, so we want to kind of give her some lips. Open up. Alright. Now you got the eyes, you might want to have some eyebrows on there. You want it to be angry, happy, what kind of facial expression? Like The Rock, one eyebrow down kind of deal. She has a little bendy on hairstyle is you want to have your character have like unique kind of head shapes and like body shapes. You know, Mickey Mouse has like the 3 big circles. You know, Batman has like the pointy ears. You know, for Long Girl, she has big old ponytails together. Oh, I forgot to put the ears on her, right? So when you put the ears, they're between your eyes and your nose. You know, there's an invisible line here. That way you don't want to put the ears like all the way up here, unless you're Batman. All the way down here, that way you're not hearing from like your neck or something. The ears go right here.
Any more scratches on it?
Make sense so far? Any questions? What's going on?
Anybody else scrap picture?
How do you do those eyes?
Like, do you have the trace?
So what I would do is,
Okay. You guys want to scrap
Yeah, see,
paper?
that's-
No, you guys.
So-
It was
yeah? Yeah, so best, the way you want to start is with the whole shape. So his head is kind of like a diamond. See that? And this thing here. And this thing here. And the same way we talked about like eyes in the middle. Just do it really like this. This you know where to put them. And then his eyes kind of look like diamonds too. See that? And then inside of the diamond, you see like a little more little diamonds. And then his mouth and his nose are all covered. So you don't have to worry about where to place it. You just put like another diamond there. See like all, this is all kind of like diamond shapes. And you don't gotta get it perfect first, like you just, that's why you draw a lighter first. And then as you clean it up, that's how you get more and more detail. Sound good? I hope. How you doing, Mary? What you got going on, John?
Okay, what's his name?
Charles Washington. What's Charles' story?
He is homeless. He has PTSD from being in the military, and he has a life regime. Baby is left with you. He wants to raise his own. He's one of those little
Yeah.
So he escapes from Detroit down to New Hope, Georgia, on the back of a train, and starts off with like an abandoned farmhouse, and of course, it's mainly like community. So, inspiration from one there.
Wow, that's intense.
I like it. Also, like, it kind of reminds me of Art Crumb kind of stuff. That underground comic style.
Yeah, he's a big influence.
Yeah. I've seen his documentary and got some of his stuff.
He was crazy. He was absolutely crazy.
I think he was insane. One of the coolest things I saw him do was like buy a house with his old sketchbooks.
That, yeah.
Okay.
He like handed over a suitcase full of his old drawings and sketchbooks, and he was able to buy a house in France.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I like how he designed the character. Has like the American patch, so he's like the old army jacket and everything. While you've been working on his character.
It's been in the back of my mind for a while. So I forget where it started from, but I don't know. I had this whole thing like running through my head,
Yeah.
and then there's like the one family that's in charge, and then because it's a farming or dairy community, and then all of a sudden the cartel comes knocking on the door for money, and the whole town is in uproar, and he comes and saves the day. And then he's got this monologue about, somebody's going on him saying, well, blah, 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 you're, a little bit of a monster. I'm like, that's because I'm running this way.
It reminds me of, you ever seen Hobo with a Shotgun?
Yes. Yes. Maybe that's where I got influence from.
Cause he like rides in his train, he comes out and he starts like blasting all the evil people and there's like random town and stuff that he kind of makes home. He becomes like this local hero.
Right.
Hanging up.
Oh my God. I just stole a story.
Subconscious.
Yes.
Hey,
I don't know if he was a war vet or anything.
I don't know if he would. I think he had like a Green Army coat on though, didn't he?
He had, it could have been just dirty.
Maybe.
But yeah, he had like a green arm. I just remember that movie was so hilarious.
You
Oh,
gotta
it
get
is.
inspired from somewhere.
Yeah.
You always have to
But
get
so
inspired.
how would these prompts able to help you kind of formalize your thoughts for this character, kind of like organize it, or?
A little bit. I think so. I'm gonna go through the whole ordeal with this and see where I get, how far I get through it. So
Yeah.
Have you started writing the script for it yet? Or
No.
it's just
I'm still working on my other one. I've got probably a dozen just in
Yeah.
here. So
takes time to get them all out.
I know. I'm going insane if I don't get them out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even get them out. You know, they'd be like, I have this idea, it's in my head.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why we start off with like, write it out. You don't have to even think about drawing anything, we post it and stuff, and then build it up.
And of course, to make it even funnier, I'm also halfway through writing a novel over a joke that somebody said because they needed some worm sketches to say, oh, what about a samurai? What about a gunslinger from the Old West? I'm like, what about a samurai in the Old West? It's like, oh, what about a zombie samurai in the Old West?
Like, that was like Kung Fu. I mean, I don't know if he wasn't,
Yeah.
he wasn't a zombie though.
Mm-mm.
But, you know, if you throw zombie in anything, it makes it interesting. It was like Lincoln was killing zombies, Pride and Prejudice was
Right.
handling some zombies.
Right.
Even, it's not zombies, it's vampires.
Yeah, there's no zombies and
Right, but if he's, see, here's the funny thing, because if you make it a samurai, he's got this internal conflict of like, you know, following the code of Bushido, but, you know, he also wants to eat people to survive, so you've got that little conflict going on.
Kind of like the zombie version of Blade.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, Blade's like, I'm trying not to suck no blood, so let me like take the serum for a
Right.
bit. Let me take my sedative. Well, I hope you continue building on this. I'd like to see how it unfolds. So where do you learn how to draw? Were you just like self-taught or went to school? Or
Some
both?
of it self-taught. I did go to college. I went to IUPUI. I was going to transfer down to SCAD, but I had some family issues come up, so I moved down here to help out my dad who passed away. But and I just didn't have money or time or age to go back to school. Got kids now, so. But, a lot of we started up our community because it's actually pretty good. We did an anthology last year that went really well, and that's what was the catalyst for me doing my own book that I releases here. So, but it's one of those things I always want to go to the small classes like this and learn something new. So.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch. Really.
Yeah.
But as you produce books, are you gonna go to like conventions or festivals or?
I've been doing some of the local ones in Augusta, but I want to try to branch out to Atlanta. I really want to do the Atlanta Sci-Fi Expo in March next year. Because I went the year before last, it was amazing. There's a lot of great down there.
Yeah, we were there this year, right?
We were at MomoCon.
I don't have the scratch for that. How much was a table there though?
Well, we did a panel. We just did a panel. Like we just barely started kind of getting more into the conventions scene, like locally. So so we wanted to do a panel. We did a panel at MomoCon,
Nice.
and then they give you passes to play. You kind of explore. And we found some friends there tabling. So they were just saying like, give us the experience. It was kind of good for friendly for new talent and stuff. But some cons are just like vaguely you join the people, and then everybody goes in to blow their wad on their favorite guys, so you're just kind of like struggling against everybody else in all the salary.
Right.
I've
So,
also
and that's fine, it's just, because I know I'm losing money at this, I don't care, I've got stories I wanna tell, so,
I have
that's fine.
cause.
And I don't wanna go digital because I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
So we'll
but, so, I'm gonna start off with the smaller cons where it's like, $50, $75 for a table for a weekend, that's not
It's
bad.
not.
Once you get into the bigger cons like Con it's like 3-4 digits.
There was some
Yeah.
great costumes that
So,
people
what do you
go
do?
up and then
You
they
work
dress up
traditionally
their
so that you
babies,
scan
they'll dress
in,
up their babies,
and then
like,
they'll
would
do
be
like
a
on
whole
Photoshop or.
costumes, like,
That's exactly what I do.
it's insane. It's
I've
so
got a
good.
tablet and I've got
But yeah,
Color
you guys
Studio
should
Pro,
definitely-
which used to be Mango Studio.
Yes.
I need to start doing this.
You gotta save up for it, you know.
Dragging my feet.
Well,
But
honestly, the best way to do digital comics is if especially if you're like trying to go through that transitional phase, is treat it as traditional as possible, but then use the utilities of the technology. So, you know, if you're a traditional person, it means you're building up the original art to sell. You know, people like to buy the paper, the original work, but then but digital is for you to be able to the copy and the print and reproduction purposes. So what I do is, it's hard to build, to just get to scratch or make a whole bunch of copies to sell out and, you know, save up to get to a table. But you gotta utilize the technologies out there, which is, you know, the internet.
Yeah.
You may either a website, and if you don't want to have a website, at least start on Instagram or you give your website. But use social media to get traffic back to your website and build your following up. And then when you have that following up, you get to build up the, you know, you have an audience and you have data and you have a demand. And that way, as you have a demand, you could either do a Kickstarter or Patreon,
Right.
or have, you know, get a feel for what your audience looks like. Is it worth to do that investment? But if not, build it up online, because it's more about, I think, the character building, your own IP,
Right.
the originality of the characters, and even if you're just serving it bite size, just like a Sunday paper style, like every Sunday they could expect to see a 3-panel strip or something of your guy. Over time, that's gonna build up. Then you're gonna have that digital, that you have the high quality at home, but you send out the small little JPEGs for the online distribution. Make sure you have your time, you know, your website stamp on it, social media stamp on it, copyright on it. That way, you know, it's all your stuff and it tags back, you know, leads back to you.
I do have a website, but
Yeah.
I'm awful. I'm horrible at social media. I'm just absolutely.
Social media is hard and it's like a job on its own.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is.
so you really have to build up the process and the structure to use social media consistently, and in order to make it work for you, like it takes time to build up that structure. You have to treat it like a job. And you know, it takes a lot of time, and it is about time and consistency. Like, you know, the more you keep posting regularly, the more, you know, your following is gonna grow. But that's why you have to treat it like, you know, like a job.
Well, it's kind of like, imagine like treating it as a big old convention now. Like when you're at con, you get sitting at the table and hoping people come and talk to you. They may pick up your book and buy it from you. So it's still just as competitive online. But the thing is, you're gonna get to develop data and awareness for your work. You know, that you have several characters. You know, you own the characters. You know, and if it's original and it's yours, you always have that IP, that property that's yours that you can kind of grow up as, you know, build up as real estate. So as you become familiar with it, it's like, yeah, I like that guy, you know, that takes care of the baby. Well, I like the other guy that was like a zombie and stuff. I like him better when he was this version. But you just serving it like bite size. While you're building up that magnum opus,
Right.
graphic novel, certain novel and everything, like that still gets to build up. But in the meantime, opposed to just like, I made this big thing and hopefully somebody will buy it or you can sell it. Because even now when you're dealing with publishers, they want more of a sure thing anyway. And then if you're doing self-publishing, you still have to find out, okay, who cares about this anyway?
Right.
So for you to build up and have more security at that end goal, in that meantime, it's kind of a good way to just use the internet to your advantage, especially since you already have a website that you own, like you already have the hub, Jonathan Hub of your stuff. So building it up for that, it could just be like the comic book store everybody kind of goes through, but stuff, you know, checking in online.
Right here on the spot, or are you?
And since you already have all the equipment, it makes it even easier. Some people, you know, they just like on post-it notes and hoping for the best. You know, like you don't have to, and then just treating
Anyways.
But you're writing a lot.
Clip Studio
so,
Paint,
like,
Photoshop,
have you been thinking
just as like
about
the
this area, or is
augmentation
this
of the
easier?
traditional.
Right.
Don't treat it as like, oh, now I gotta figure out this whole program how to do it. Like, do it all traditional. Do the scanning and the coloring on the digital stuff.
Comic books.
That's true.
But you see all this stuff.
That way you get to still use all your traditional stuff,
shows
and it still grows in value. But then the digital stuff, you get to kind of learn. You're gonna learn tips and tricks as you go along and stuff. Like it'd be more about like, also like, how do I use this program? So more like, how do I do this on this program? How do I do this?
And it's, you know, kind of
Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So,
hard.
because the process I think is the hardest part. And what people like about your comics is the characters. Like they don't care if the story's cool or not. They care like what's going to happen to this dude. Like today he's dealing with the city. You know, today he's dealing with like he found his baby. What is he doing with it? you know, he's
almost
dealing
Mission
with, you know,
Impossible TV shows.
here's a flat tire, now what happens?
Where they used to put on prosthetics and whatever, and they go. And,
Okay, so back to a real person,
And-
but
and-
it has a costume.
So what I want,
and they would
what I help you do is like, okay,
set up these
you got this
things.
great idea, but how do you get out into the world while growing it? How do you grow it organically, even
So you're writing
strategically?
his- a
But using
story
everything you already got going, you already have the website,
Well, I'm not even
You already
thinking
have,
that far.
you know,
Right now,
ownership
just
in the
kinda
copyright.
Trying to write the
you already have the
Yeah,
technology,
I mean, you
and
gotta
continue to expand on it.
Yeah.
but now how to utilize all that in a strategic manner that benefits you and it also doesn't get out of, you know, it's not distracting. Because not everybody wants to do social media, not everybody wants to do the internet. You know, not everybody can go to a convention and stuff.
I used to.
But guess what, if you want to a convention, you want to make it as worth as possible.
I used to work with artists.
So you want to be like, I'm gonna be at this con, and be like, okay, if you're there.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I write,
So then-
and then I hand it
Hopefully
over.
that's all.
That's the draw.
You already got it, I'm really glad you came out.
Well, thank you.
I had a conversation with this guy, I was at a conference.
Coming from Augusta and stuff, you know, you have this book you're gonna be taking with you. You know, set up that
I'm not done.
your own satellite there. You know, weird satellite for you here.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, because a friend of mine, he has been teaching social art in Memphis for a while, but his health isn't the greatest, and he's probably going to continue. So I want to start doing some weekend classes somewhere. I just kind of get based on a route down somewhere where I can start doing that, because they don't teach art anymore.
Like with nothing.
Yeah.
else.
So it's ridiculous.
Everyone.
So, and as a couple conventions by then, have said, hey, would you mind coming in for our art clubs and putting out a teaching kit? I'm like,
But like just absolutely
I think it's, I'm probably gonna look into it a little more now.
And also how to make it just your own. Like, I can't return it all today. Because oh, there's no money in comics or anything. You know, my favorite artist was Will Eisner. You know, Mr. Spirit. He made anything. He made comics before wherever was that. He was drafted into the army. He was making army comics. You know,
that's your
when
artist.
he was out during the press in the newspaper, he was surfing the most like, all right, in the newspaper syndicate. You know, he made comics for people his age. He's like, I'm 50 years old. I'm making 50-year-old graphic novels. Like, I'm 60. I'm making out for the 6-year-olds.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, we're on this weird cusp of where people are starting to realize artists want to pay. It's like, oh, you know, I can do this one kind of thing. We're getting away from that.
Logo
But
for trade
it's-
characters.
Yes, it's definitely
You can make money at times, it's just really hard, you gotta hustle a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not
And learning how to turn, you know, your so-called disadvantages or weaknesses to advantages. Like you'd be like, okay, I'm not in the city where the big centers at, but guess what? I'm in a small town where I can become the big city. And then with the reach of the internet, you can teach everybody. Where you build up a name and be like, I like this guy's style. Like Augusta's not that far from here. I'm gonna go to Augusta. Like they have their own thing that's like their own flavor.
Right.
Like they have like barbecues over there. You know, like it's just cooler over there. You know. Like the way we're doing it is we're building through the teaching. You know,
But really,
I'm building through using digital means. Like now we're broadcasting. Who knows? Maybe 5 people are watching, the whole world is watching, but it's gonna be on the internet forever.
You're gonna handle right.
I want to see what's up. They don't have this book though.
Through the characters, we got to events and
Yeah.
stuff, on a table or whatever.
That's
you know,
true.
it's not just
And then as you see,
people that were
You know, I don't know if you follow like YouTube or whatever. I have a YouTube channel for Green Studios, and then every week I put up tutorials. Last week, like this weekend, I just put how to do a character sheet. You know, how to use a line of, you know, action, how to do
like commercial
page layouts. And I just do them super short, like 2 minutes or something, just kind of like this little mini lecture, mini tutorial. But these tutorials, I link them to my website. So you see on my website, I have like, you can watch the video, just watch the video if you want. But then I do like explanations on them, have books that you that I use for reference. If you want to, you know, build a big reference, learn your own. I'm all about going down, that learning curve. Because not everybody, can't afford to go there. Not everybody can afford to even, or have the time to go through a whole
So
course.
many lines.
You know, some people can't even come to this workshop. Like, today's workshop was like capped at 15. It's supposed to be 8 people that signed up. And then there was like 5 people on the waiting list.
Yeah.
They didn't all show up either. You know, and then also like, we need also even being able to get paid. Like some we do workshops for pay as well, but this one is sponsored by a grant. So we're doing actual community development service.
Yeah.
So we're working that.
Oh, is that part of your fundraising?
So like it's like the hustle is very important. But also even kind of getting ideas for others. Also you gotta kind of put yourself out there and be willing to. You know, your pal told you about this, but you're the one that showed up.
Right, I mean,
Randomly
he
get out,
teaches some classes at one of the local art schools in Augusta. And he puts up links for all this, influential kind of stuff. And so this one popped up, and I'm like, well, that's very interesting. So I did the Eventbrite and sign up. And
Bro, that's like your main dude.
I think I'm gonna start putting out feelers about trying to do it, the local suburb where I'm at, rather than downtown Augusta. So I think I'll start asking around a little bit more.
Like the way I started was just libraries. Because they give you a piece of public space, at least for a day or something. But as you build up your skills, like you have 25 years experience, that's validation.
Right.
To a certain degree. Yeah, but then
I took
also,
a little bit of a break.
yeah, but then that means you've known about different eras and genres throughout history. Like when I got into comics, it was like mid '90s when images barely came out. I only heard about the image art. I didn't even know about the image art with previous like Marvel, DC kind of guys. Like I was just into like the new stuff. Like, oh, this Spawn guy is cool. This Max guy is cool. And then I started getting into it. That's when it was like the awkward boom where like variant covers and toys and stuff was like supposed to be valuable.
Right.
But then the legacy characters, I saw that's when they were coming out to cartoons and stuff. Like X-Men was turning into cartoons and everything. So that's how I got into that medium because I didn't know where to start to look at Marvel and DC. I was just like, well, I just see what's up there. But these guys just really come out with number ones. They're like, number ones are super valuable, supposedly.
Right.
So, and then after that era, I kind of like faded out, and then I got back into Sin City. To me, it was just like black and white. I was like, man, this doesn't take any budget or printing costs. It's like, and this guy's like incredible stories, and like the art's like super cool. I like simplicity. And then I got into Will Eisner with like The Spirit and like all his like City New York tales and stuff. And I'm like, I want to tell a story about my life, but my version of it. And then he made like, all these how-tos and stuff, and I just soaked those up. And then like my favorite drawing book is How to Draw Stupid.
How to draw what?
How to Draw Stupid. And he's like Kyle Baker's book, and he super big artist and stuff. He's done animation, comics, everything. Got all the awards. But he just makes comics. He just makes you want to draw. Like it was the first drawing book. You just read it, it's like, hey, I want to draw some stuff now. Opposed to just like, this is cool, but I can't do it with my hand. So I got into that. Like, yeah, I want to learn to draw stupid. So I'm checking these guys.
Who's gonna sell it?
So how your characters? Everybody's character coming along.
This is a really great
You
idea,
got some bubbles?
but your idea is to make this comic and go sell it for a quarter.
Yeah, man.
Okay, you're putting all
So
this
it's
time
feet game,
in,
man. You got Jordans or
taking
something?
it to
Some flip flops?
Pecos and copying it.
No feet.
I didn't draw a city.
$50 to make, I forgot how many copies I made, but, and then you're selling it for a quarter.
I wanted to at least get one character for you to kind of get an idea. You guys wrote little stories about them, what they do, and then kind of how to make a character. But then now we're gonna get into more characters.
Scale to make that pay for itself.
The arch rivals, the arch nemesis, the best buds, the animal companion, the avatar right in
These are your comics as well.
Right.
It's, I draw the little production cost there, to get them printed.
Right.
And you can sell them for cheaper.
I've drawn them before though.
Yeah. And then you want to think about too, like
But
how
the
they
thing
look
with
turn to
digital
the
is
side,
you have to market
how they look in the back,
you have to
how they
it's
look
easier
from
to
the
get
top.
people interested in like
Draw the head,
comic.
what kind of facial expression, like how does this character look when they're
You have to
mad?
have the
How they look
marketing
when they laugh,
strategy for it.
when they're sad or something. Want to
Just
think
like,
about those things
publishing
too.
an ebook or something.
Right.
So
How
you
could I
have
draw
to
a
have
picture of him if
that.
people
Then when you go
change?
to cons, it's always better to have it
You
printed.
can change how he
Yeah.
looks.
You
But
can
it
start
kind
with
of
digital, I
robot.
mean, it's free to set up. You can do
Robot
Amazon,
stuff.
Kindle
That's
comics.
what changed.
That's where the fun happens.
But
So you draw this, so like what
I
I
kind
was,
of drew this as like, those are like the games
viable.
and stuff.
so what I think about is like, okay, you ready to
Now
do this
there
head.
are a lot
So
of
let's say you
children's
draw the
authors.
head
I just bought a
again.
book yesterday.
Yeah, you could even- you could even-
children's book
you know,
made
you
by
have it here.
eight-year-olds.
Or sometimes what I would do,
Yeah, and she had some
I'll use
disease
tracing
too that she was
paper.
raising money for. I forgot
And then you're like,
what
okay,
it was,
this
but-
is head, but like, what's this gonna change? Like, is his eyes change? So you draw the eye different. Does his nose like move up and down or something? So you draw like the nose different. Does his mouth and his chin come out or something? So you have like the same head, but then you get to draw like the little things that change. You know
Program over
what I mean?
over at Emory,
That work?
and there were these kids in there that were already, had websites. They were like 11 years old, and they had websites up that were generating.
How's Mercy
Wow,
coming along?
yeah.
See, those guys.
You know, like kids are just more with these resources nowadays. Like we're still learning how to use them and stuff. And to them it's like natural, like social media, internet, whatever. They're just like bored with all these, like, you
Yeah,
know,
'cause it's like
iPads. Every
sometimes
kid has an
the hardest
iPad.
part is getting
Right.
an idea from
An
your head. Like,
iPad
what
is
time my
going to
hand is
create
going?
all
Like,
this, like,
head is
this
telling me.
entire business,
But
this whole prime
the good
business.
thing is
from
This
this
is not
iPad.
cheaply done either.
Every artist
This
has
is
their
in black and white.
It's,
yeah.
no, it's
So
fun.
we
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
use
it's called, we have to,
Chase
yeah.
paper.
I have really
Like,
bad
yeah. Cause you have to do all the shading and,
Right.
you know,
Oh, kind of draw over that side.
shapes and stuff are a lot harder.
Well,
But yeah, like, so, you know, the
Yeah.
whole premise to
Like, this book is-
iPad. Now every
yeah,
kid has
this
an
book
iPad.
is
They
kinda
have the
just for you
potential
to-
to create
This is like the starting pad, you know, when you guys go home, It's not gonna be the last time you draw this guy. Like, you're gonna be, okay, this is the first time I draw architect. By the time you draw him 10 times, it's gonna look way different. 20 times, like,
That's our idea.
yeah, like the hairstyle change is gonna have more friends, they're gonna have different adventures, they're gonna need like power up.
What's his old
Like you know, you guys ever play like Mario?
Yes.
Have you seen how Mario was like red and blue, but then he has like a cape in that one game, and he has like a raccoon suit. And when he has like the fire power, he's like red and white.
Where does
So
the point
characters
where they
keep changing.
rebooted Marvel and DC, what, 5 times each the last 10 years?
At least.
And it's ridiculous. I mean, how many more times can
It's not cool
Batman
about
beat up the Joker?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you know.
But the
Weird
problem
thing.
there also.
I'm gonna show
is
you a
the
trick-
market
a trick
is
for her to
changing.
feed.
We were kids. You bought comic
Let me
books
get it, let me get it.
in a grocery store. It was 25
So,
cents. And,
Right, and now
The
they're
thing with
constantly-
feet is, the way we like
and
picture
even
is
if
like,
it was a
see it just like
story,
flat,
you know,
with
bigger
extend
story,
out the
it might
side and
last
stuff.
2 or 3 issues.
But what really happens with
Now they're
feet is
marketing to 50-year-old
you have an ankle,
men
right?
that are buying
That's what it-
stuff,
that's what it
and so
turns.
it's got to be more involved, and you've got to think about this continuity that goes by back 70 years, and it's just gotten ridiculous, and it's not sustainable, so they have to reboot everything.
Right.
And then
That's the
they've gotten
problem.
so serious now, you know, like
Right.
DC,
You get
like
big toe,
when we were
little
little, like
toes.
Batman, and like it used to be fun, like comics used to be like lighthearted and fun, but now it's
Maybe
like so
design
serious.
for
So I think they're
color
losing
or black.
like, you know, the younger audience too.
So this is a
because-
robot guy. What kind of features
Because,
do you have?
the
I'm trying to think of
Tuskegee, I read the first issue of that. It's a really good book by Marcus Miller.
There we go. I have
That thing is $10.
And
What is it called?
So who has those?
Tuskegee
Like,
Years.
like her?
Okay.
It's a really good book. Marcus
Sorry.
Miller, he's
So
been
let's say he has a big heavy foot, right?
Marvel and DC
So big
books for
feet.
years.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Stand
really
up
good
the side
book,
of the
and it's
big.
$10.
Yeah.
And I understand he's trying to
And then
get
he has
funding
the
up
shields.
for, you know, his next
Maybe
project,
shield,
but,
right?
you know, a 12-year-old that, you know, wants to read a comic, you know,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is that you probably like me, we learned to read by reading comics. Not, you know, reading Pixar at school.
And then if you want to stick out more, you could, okay, now you know, it kind of
Because,
sticks out a
like
little
he's
bit.
saying, comics are pretty much built for adults.
Yeah, they try to grow with us.
You don't have to think about crazy
Right.
shapes. All that, if you can draw those three shapes,
70s, 80s, like
and those
they're trying
lines,
to grow
you can make
that
anything.
generation.
I took
It's
out
like,
10 pictures of
there's
So
no
when you
market
look at this,
here, you know?
if we
Yeah.
did,
What the thing was originally about in the first place. And that, I
there's
mean,
no problem
we
with
go
it.
back
You could,
and we,
what's
you
going
know,
on here, right?
reprints of
It's kinda like
Batman or
Shield
even
too.
Spectre and stuff.
His shield was going
They're
down.
very dark.
His shield kinda goes up.
That's it, it guns,
Yeah.
the villain died, and it was like,
Scout
good, it saved the state
Rectangle.
cost of a trial, you know,
Because
there's
he's
some
already
serious
got already
stuff.
got the ankle, he has the
But-
same thing too. Ankle.
It's still, I guess that was
You
still
see how
for
his toe
kids
goes
at
up?
that
You see that
time.
here?
And
Yeah.
definitely when I was a
Toes.
kid in the 70s, it was for kids. They don't write these things for kids. I take, when I try to get it on the
It's
comic.
gonna take practice.
Shred
But when you know, like, oh, all I gotta do is like, what's this big shape?
appropriate to
Rectangle,
get in.
triangle, right?
And
Yeah,
that was
that's
a super
how
business.
it's like,
And you're not,
you know,
and if
for
you
reasons
don't get the
go to
first
comic
one,
book
like
store,
you say
you
here,
know, pick up
I
whatever,
wanna get a
not
feel
have
for it.
section.
Alright, I'm gonna juice it over and see how it looks. You know,
But-
stuff like that.
I mean,
There's no
it's-
shade.
It starts to copy come down, it's like, you know.
well,
That's where you start, that's where everybody.
But
That's
that's a
like-
good thing too, though.
If he
Because I
wants
mean,
to make his
if
hand
you
big,
make
it's
an overly
like,
complicated story,
that's
that's
so
somebody
much-
that's learning to read and process.
He wants to make it big
and
hand.
structures, you don't really
So-
want to get lost.
Well, I'm saying similar.
When it comes to
if
drawing
you look at a
hands,
reprint of
The way regular
any
hands are,
silver
the size of your
age
face, right?
comic,
So he's gonna
you know,
have,
the
this is size
60s
head, you wanna
through
go
the
big old
mid
hands right here.
70s. Alright, it's not terribly complicated, but it isn't like kiddie either. It's simplistic, plot holes all over the place, so you gotta analyze it.
Yeah, like a regular
I
hand,
mean,
right?
they're not trying to
Look
make
at your
the
hand.
X-Men
Put it over your face,
about,
right?
you know,
It's about the same
social
size, so
change,
they gotta have a big hand, so
Right.
over
his
the
hand is
top
way bigger than his
science
head.
fiction
So,
concept
okay,
for
how big
fighting
is this?
circus of
This is
crime.
kind of
Yeah.
you know, Magneto.
So make it like,
robbing
okay,
a bank.
when regular
He's
hand's
not-
the same size,
Yeah,
then big hand's
but I mean, like, and
gonna be big old long fingers.
It could be different
Kind of.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to educate the comics, but
Yeah.
you know, like, different.
Alright.
But even that has
Look
covers,
at-
so even
What
that
kind of
has.
feet does he have? What kind of shoes do you think he's
Kind of
wearing?
like metal.
I know, but I
You got 2 Joker movies that they're in the process of doing
This
right
dude?
Should I
now.
change your
Hey,
top?
you can see here,
Because both of them are going in directions that are not.
Yeah, just kinda take a look at it. This dude got some big old robots.
But that's what's
What do
gonna
you got
happen,
going
like
on?
with
You
the
got-
literary
you got
industry,
rectangle,
now more people are self-publishing than traditional
Right.
publishing.
So those are
And then the same
rectangles,
things
man.
gonna happen with comics eventually, you know? Like everyone's self-publishing now, because you can't all represent the DC and they
Right.
want their own comics and things.
Alright, you guys are getting it. Guys having
There's
fun?
gonna be a, yeah, like you said, a revolution overhaul.
Anybody needs to take, what happened?
Especially with digital comics and all of those, like, yeah.
Oh wow, who's that?
I'm guilty. I do it, so.
And I like more complex
Yeah, you
stories,
should,
I'm just saying.
you should
Are- are-
self-publish, we should do all that, like, we gotta get
Is
way
it down
forward,
like
get our
Thor,
stories
Loki,
out.
and
'Cause
stuff
we
like
are
that?
on DC, our
Okay.
you know, our stories.
Tommy Farrell.
Loki's the best.
Yeah.
But see, it's gonna get to the point where they're gonna have to.
They're gonna have
At least
Like,
the image,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
smart
yeah.
enough to look
Can't-
for, they do their
never
artist
wrong.
and writer searches, like once or twice a year.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, send us,
Mr. Mitchell, what's gonna happen to the Mitchell?
have your team
You guys
send
see
us
Infinity
your
Wars or?
first
Yes.
four
Yes.
issues fully
It
done.
was so.
And then we'll rate
We
it,
watched
like you will
twice.
publish you and then
Yeah.
you
Captain
will
Marvel.
all your stuff.
That's
And
good.
you still
Captain
proper.
Yeah.
I just got
Brilliant.
disappointed
And
with
it's,
like the
it's a
whole
win-win for
Game
them,
of
so they're still making money,
Kinda got stuck on
But you still own
Has
it.
Marvel changed their ownership stuff?
Yeah, we you know, trying stuff.
they still own everything.
But
They haven't
I
like.
mean, I see them giving more credit to original artists than they
Yeah,
used
but
to.
they're not paying them for it. They're paying the one
I didn't know
time
that was
for
gonna be
drawing
the
and
whole-
writing it. And then they get listed in a
Yeah,
credit in the
the whole
movie.
process.
disappointing.
Yeah, because I was watching Luke Cage on
Yeah, I'm
Netflix
looking forward to see
the
what
other
happens.
day,
See how.
Although I was really
and I noticed
sad about,
they gave a
like,
whole bunch of
Half of the people.
entities to do
Yeah.
that.
And like only
You
the
got fast forward, you got
originals.
fast
Only
forward.
the originals
There
are
was a-
alive now.
I forget what the name of
Everyone
it
else
is,
is
but
gone.
there's a documentary that came out.
Rip Spider-Man.
Littlefinger.
Oh, yeah, she's,
Yes.
she
Yeah,
loves
that's
comics.
That was a
so
really good
much.
one, that was a really good one.
That
I
hurt.
like
That
that.
hurt to
Yeah.
watch. It was.
But there's other stuff that,
She
you know,
loves
on
Tom Holland.
Kirby and,
And
you know. And then back, I don't know, when I was a kid, the first Superman movie came out. This big media push pushing Warner Brothers into giving,
Alright, let's start
People
wrapping it up a
Schuster,
little bit, so we can move on to
some
the next.
credit. And
Um,
I think they've
we'll
already
move on
done
to,
it. but-
developing the story, we'll do some more writing in a little bit, so to kind of wrap up your
So,
characters, and you'll have time to finish drawing them later too, so. Just wanted you guys to take some time and just draw. So in your workbooks, after the final character design page, page 2, there's a synopsis template page. And we're gonna skip that for now. You guys can go back and fill it in once you have a better idea of your story. But because we only have so much time, we're gonna skip that page for now. We're gonna go to page 4 next, which is the original concept form. So this is where we're gonna start developing our story a little bit. And before we take a break, we're gonna see how far we can get these stories developed. So if you look on the original concept form on page 4, I'll give you guys a minute to find page 4. Okay. You guys, you'll have more time to finish drawing later, so let's work on this story first real quick. So we're on page 4, the original concept form. Okay. So this is where you're gonna start. Now you know who your character is, you have an idea what he looks like, he or she or it, whatever creature, animal you have. you know what their powers are, if they're a superhero, if they're not, if they're a regular person, you know what their personality is like, you know what challenges, you know, their flaws are in their personality or in their powers or whatever. So now we're gonna start using them. Now you have your iconic character, we're gonna use them to start developing their story, okay? So, if you, for this one, you'll need to look back to your character design prompts just to help you get thinking. For example, in your character design prompts, you have, does your character have friends, a sidekick, or a pet, or is your character a loner? So this kind of will help you start thinking about the story, right? What's your character's favorite hobby? So you can start with, you know, what is your character doing on a regular day? Or what's your character's greatest weakness or strength? You know, what would your character be doing? Where your character is from? So that can help you create the setting in your head. Like, okay, where is this story taking place? Is it taking place on Mars? Is it taking place in Atlanta? Is it taking place in, you know, a different galaxy? So that kind of helps you get your setting together, okay? So these are all things that you'll need to fill out this concept form. So the concept title, of course, will be the title of your story, and sometimes that comes later after you start writing it, or it could be, you know, the name of your character could be part of your title too. So thinking about everything you wrote in your character design prompts, start writing a short summary. And if you don't know yet, you know, you don't have to start with the summary, you can go in, like, you know, what time period is your concept in? So that's something you can think about. Okay, well, my character is from Mars, and, you know, he's an octopus or something, and he lives on Mars, and he's from the future. So my story takes place in, you know, 3018 or something like that. So kind of start thinking about, you know, there's a question here, where does your concept take place? You've kind of already answered that already in your character design prompt. So some of these questions kind of go off of that. So start with those questions so you already kind of know the answers to, and then take those and start working on the summary of your story. Okay? And we're gonna walk around, so if you guys need help and have questions, need help developing the story, let us know. And keep it as brief as possible. You don't have to get too detailed in this, because we'll get details later when we start working on the script, okay? So this is just really short, brief information about your story. Fill it out as much as you can. You may not know the answer to everything on here, but as much as you can. You don't have to. And if you don't understand what a question means, also please ask us. Like, what does it mean, a concept, and all that stuff.
What is that, like, the backstory? Like, if like the character has a backstory, where would you write that?
Okay, so that will be later when we start writing the script. Then we'll work on the backstory. Okay. So right now it's just a very basic story. Like here, when we start writing the script format, that's when you can start telling the backstory of the character. But before we get into the backstory of the backstory is part of who the character is and makes the character who they are. But before we get into that, we gotta write the basic stuff down, like what kind of world they're in, you know, who they're surrounded by, and what they're doing. Like, for example, for the architect, you know, what is his purpose? You know, his story will be about how to use his powers to build something, to save the world, and so, okay, what is he saving the world from? You know, who are the bad guys? That kind of stuff. Just very basic things. And we'll give you guys some time to work on this, and then once you're done with this part, you can feel free to take a break. We're about halfway through. We've been sitting here for a while.
Stretch out a little bit.
Yeah, we can do a stretch. Bread and eat a snack.
you're seeing the.
Yeah, that's true.
You're doing it, Jonathan.
I'm excited about the stories.
So here, like, I usually write about, like, kind of like a comparison of, medieval times or futuristic, like lack of, like, as in,
This would be like a abandoned farmhouse kind of thing.
be like Quaker status.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like being as detailed as possible, that way when you do the research, you want it to be as easy as possible to find the research.
Gotcha.
Like, so points of contrast, points of reference, stuff that you can easily make a mood board, scrapbooking for yourself. That's what this is for. How you doing, Mr. Harris?
Hey.
You're active.
Huh?
we spurred some inspiration.
Just riff. Yeah, so it's just topical would be now.
To start with,
Getting
like,
current event. This is
what
the first
level of
thing.
technology exists
Oh,
in
right,
your concept, right? So your character, is your character from the future? Do they have like lasers and like, robots and stuff? Or are they from the past where they don't even have a cell phone, like they ride bicycles or, so think about that too. Like, do they have weapons or do they have like,
We could see something.
I don't know, different types of technology that they do have a car or a spaceship, or a Flintstones thing, you know what I'm saying? So think about those kind of concepts.
I'll just say, like, in higher level technology,
Okay.
it's only like
Talk to the
10
president
years
or
to
whatever.
like past.
Okay.
It's like higher level.
Yeah, that's fine too. If it's only a little bit in the future, so it's like what we have now, but like a
It's a
little
powerful
more
story.
advanced.
That's like a chameleon, but
But
in
it's like a
a
little
good way that doesn't use
in the
uses
story.
power to like blend in and
Apparently,
be a catalyst for change.
Right, so I think
18,
you could put it in a 10.
the zombie apocalypse started here.
Oh,
So that happened, and
okay.
it ended though.
Oh,
Everybody's more safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Starting over.
Write your name on it. We'll get some supplies.
Everyone's like scared.
So I have a,
Yeah. So we're like starting.
We just got, let me get her set up here.
We're like a dystopian thing, like we're
It's a little higher to the.
I'm glad you made it, Steph.
Kind of like the
I know it was a bit of a journey.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it came from the airport.
Relax,
Mine was like, so like,
pen and pencil.
the people on
Marker.
Earth had to leave
And
Earth because
we're
it was
about
being destroyed.
halfway
It
through.
was like 1,000 years
Almost.
into the future.
Oh, but
So
this,
then,
yeah.
since he's a robot, like, one of an architect
Yeah,
from
your
Earth
friend.
built him, and then in the first story, he's trying to
So
figure out
we're
why
laughing
he was
from
made
there.
and who was created.
So we're trying to keep like this.
Okay,
area
that's
kinda
good.
clean.
Yeah, you can write
Here.
that in your summary.
And,
A
yeah,
little bit of the backstory.
so the supplies
That
have to
can
be
your-
returned,
That can be your
because they're
first
limited,
comic is the
but the
backstory.
books are for taking home and keeping
So,
and
so
working
this
with.
architect who was a human created a robot architect?
I have
Or
a
he
niece
just created a
that-
robot that's
When he created a robot,
Draws,
the robot
draws,
had
she was gonna
powers to
Okay.
manipulate.
Okay, so the architect, your character, that's Vespa, right? That was made by
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
understand.
There's
cool.
one place in the world where the
Next
zombie
one.
apocalypse is
Yes.
still going on,
Yeah.
Same
and
thing?
that's,
Yes.
Okay,
this
so it's all
character's
other than-
birthplace, she had to move out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a second one here, and
That's
then
where the
in
in
character,
August
the
we're gonna do a
character
belt line
plots
one. So I
where
think it's going to
one
be
of the
outdoors or
characters goes
something.
missing,
Uh,
and so that,
and then,
that's
you
made
know,
the character.
you're gonna sign up for the newsletter, so you'll be also up to date on all our events as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, we have one
Good,
more
just
next
make
month.
it
for you.
hard.
okay,
So I'm sure she registers and comes, and
okay.
we're gonna be doing more of this.
Alright.
We
Many
get to meet
pages
her.
of a story for
Keep on
the
the.
zombie apocalypse.
You already have the
culture.
story, you already made it? Okay.
That's for this character's story, not
Okay.
this one's.
Oh, okay, now you're making a new character. So the stories are all connected, is that what
Yeah,
you're
they're
saying?
all connected.
Cool, and you have a graphic novel.
My character,
Maybe I should put,
the
like-
story's like, so she finds this whistle, and then when she whistles it, she can shoot like an animal, and then like, she kind of becomes the animal,
Scary.
she doesn't like
That's the
exactly
place
what
where the
she
zombies are.
Okay.
but she just
for like
died.
10 years. In
Where is
this
that thing?
Okay.
It's like a made up place.
So she
It's made up all
so
the
she
time.
turns into an animal.
Is this like
Tracy
And
Paper,
she has animals.
our comics and stuff.
No, she
Wanna
has
look
like.
to that for inspiration.
Okay, but she
But
turns.
basically, we were working through the book.
Cool. So do
Or is this
her
like-
people
is this
friends?
her
Do they
costume
know that she can turn into an
We're about to
animal?
take a break in a little bit, just like a
Her
little
eyes are
intermission.
just like
Flash.
Yeah, we
Red.
relax,
Oh, she.
we'll stop for a
and
moment.
people
So
say
we just
that
working
she's
through
had a
this.
story, so she just wears a mask to cover it
I'll
up.
answer any questions you
Cool. I
have.
like that. So what kind of animal is she?
Yeah. Don't feel out of place right
Oh,
now.
whatever she wants.
It's like the grown-up table.
Nice.
We kind of all shifted.
What kind of climate?
I like
Nice,
that.
you good? I'm glad you
Okay,
made it.
so the social political climate, that might
Wanna
be a
hear
little
about your
too
trip and everything.
advanced, but
No,
I mean, it's up to you.
Proceedings.
If you guys want to think that far, like, oh, what's,
But
the politics or socially, like,
Our
people,
Oh,
our
okay.
people
The
have
government
passed, the government collapsed, there you go.
stuff.
There you go,
I
yeah.
made an assumption when I read it.
So-
Yeah, and then the social
writer
climate
or-
would be like,
I used to
who's,
write advertising.
oh, I guess it's about to storm outside.
Yeah, that's my favorite type of weather. I don't know why, rain calms me.
The government is collapsed because of the zombie.
There you go.
So like,
Yeah, and then the social climate could be like, what kind of people are outcast, maybe, some kind of people, want to be friendly with the zombies, and other people, treat them as outcasts,
So
like,
you're originally from New York, or you just
why
went-
you wanna be friendly
No,
with
I'm from
zombies,
DC.
like, don't, treat the zombies like humans or something.
Scarro, this
Many years
character,
in New York.
Yeah.
her twin sister, like, is ruling the zombie. She's like the queen of the zombies.
Oh, wow.
wait,
So she might be an outcast with the rest of society, then, because they're like, why are
Jonathan's family
you
brought him here.
running with the zombies, you're a human, you shouldn't be
Okay.
with the zombies.
They're not human, they're all like cats and stuff.
Oh, they're human, okay.
wait, so are the zombies,
Okay.
What
like,
kind of stuff you want to get into?
are they intelligent or are they just
Yeah.
Yes, they're
breaking?
very intelligent,
Okay.
actually.
So like,
I've
you
never
can
seen
see
something
something
intelligent.
So they're not like.
That's scary.
Like they have like all.
I know.
But they can't travel out
I had a
of the one
magazine
place
before
that
launched
they
that.
are in,
Okay.
because
There's
there's no
another
way
way too.
Okay.
they can't like swim because it's way too far out.
It's-
There's no planes.
Capital.
The
They
social
can't get out.
They can't swim, but they're smart enough to like go a boat or something, and
Yeah,
then
they're smart
they get over. Oh, wow, that's scary.
Come up with a concept.
Like zombies are already scary, and then they're smart too, now those.
Okay.
Alright, that's good stories.
Did a publishing program and
What is that? That's
Yeah,
a confusing question too, right? What is it?
what did
What
they
is the
see
theme
and
of your
just
concept?
think
Okay.
what these guys make
So
for a
theme,
living
is
crap.
you have to dig a little bit
Wow.
deeper for
Couldn't do it
this.
at the
This is
time.
like the big story that you're telling that's universal,
I really
that,
don't know
so like,
kinda the
it's
scene and all
similar
that,
to
how it works
other
here.
stories that people can relate to.
Yeah, I'm a newcomer to only been here
So-
5 years.
Where you-
For example,
I'm originally
you're
from New
writing
York.
a dystopian
And,
story, where
I
the
went to
world
college
has ended
in Salt
and
Lake
it's
City,
rebuilding again.
undergrad, and then
So
I
that's like a
came
theme,
here for graduate
that
school
a lot
for
of like
stuff.
Hunger
yeah.
Games,
And,
Walking
so
Dead,
I
like they
guess
all
it's
have that
2013.
theme,
Is this your
that
focus
it's
of
like
what
the
you
world
wanna
is
do or you?
dystopian, the world has ended, we gotta start
I can
something.
do all types of things. So what I came here to study was sequential art.
So
make
you gotta
comics.
dig a little bit
So I was
deeper. It's
interested
okay if
in
you
learning
can't
those
figure out
skills and how to
anything right now,
translate
but
it for,
sometimes when you
use
start
it for
writing the story,
contemporary
then
times
you
and
realize,
futuristic.
oh, this is like,
Because like
this
comics
is
industry,
other,
there's
stories
a
that I
certain,
can
works a certain
relate
type
to
of
or
way,
friends
but the
or-
skills involved in it,
Reconstruction.
So,
they go in so many ways. Like
Right.
I
It's
like
okay
the
if you
aspect
can't
of
figure out
education and
anything
entertainment
right now.
and using art from a small starting figure to being able to apply with anything, from advertising to
Hey,
graphic
you
design.
gotta get inspired
storytelling
somewhere.
and
We were
everything.
talking about that over there.
So,
You gotta.
When I got out, I decided, trying to find what kind of jobs I could do,
That's
and ended up being that I had to just start make my own job.
Fix it?
So there I am, a
Is
make
that a
company.
Well,
comic?
that's what I tell my
Yeah,
she likes to draw and all that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's
That's
like
way
that.
faster. Okay.
What day
Really?
is today? I don't know.
You gotta take your inspiration. That's why we got all
This
these
is
comic
not
books
really
floating
probably
around.
Well, the cool thing about my stories
Yeah.
is it's also combined with my
So,
friends'
using
stories
that as
because we're
a
all
kind of,
like the same. Like
platform.
we
You like
decided
to
all
be
the
creative, you like
characters
to
are in
draw,
the same like country. They all
learn how to
live there.
code.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
Yeah.
Code, program.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys are making like a whole
So,
graphic novel.
She's
It
very
sounds like
creative.
you have a
so
lot
it's
of
kind of like
characters
she's
and a lot of stories that all connect.
thing is that you
I
want
just
to
have,
talk
like,
about my
four
quality or
characters.
That's good. You don't need a lot of characters. It depends on the size of your comic.
You know,
Depends how many comics you want to
to do
make.
that comic book.
You know, if you
that's
want to
what
make a
she did
graphic
for
novel,
fun.
it doesn't,
So,
and even
okay, that needs to
if
be
you're making
nurtured.
graphic novels,
Yes.
sometimes they only have a couple characters.
You know, my
It's
niece is
It's
the
about how
same
you use the
way.
characters and tell the story. That's what.
Exactly. I could
But
use.
take that,
He
because a lot of kids like to draw.
The creator, the architect.
You know, say,
The human
creator,
architect.
He does look
the
like someone who would make
business or
like some sort
Make a
of.
robot
creativity
architect.
is
He looks like some
expressed
sort of.
now that it has
You know, he
technology.
looks like an evil mastermind.
Yeah, I want to be
Like,
the
he
one
has
with
this,
any
like,
drawing.
Yeah.
He's
Right,
just
so that's
this,
why
like
I like
friendly
teaching you
alter
work, how to
ego, but
meet
like
people,
behind the scenes,
and
he's
I'm more
like
focused
super
on
evil.
the
He's one of
storytelling
those guys.
and developing
reason he looks
IPs
like
and how to
Franklin.
get that message out. Like message usually is
He
stories,
looks like
right?
some
You gotta
really
be, you know,
important.
Yeah, I know.
You're in his house right now.
All
So
this
do I.
I don't know how much of the
Yeah, he was.
creative stuff
This is
is
his house.
actually
His
done
His
here.
name is
Maybe
Joel
storyboards,
Chandler
so
Harris.
Is that done here?
Yeah,
Is that done
he
somewhere
created.
else?
Like the rabbit
Right.
thing stuff.
That rabbit looks kind of creepy.
Well, there is some storyboard because one of my buddies uses storyboard for Hollywood and stuff.
Yeah, there's
So
books
there's a
there,
lot of storyboarding that gets
those
done
books
here,
that they tell you
but
that
it's mostly
he's
about the
doing
filming.
is how he came
Right.
up with
You know, and the creative stuff behind like the writing and all
it.
that.
And this is his
That's
house.
more Hollywood. Here is more about it,
I
production.
drew all my
of
friends'
film.
characters on the link, so
And
I
a
could
lot of
like
stuff is filmed out here
reference,
because
because
they're
we're all
how they're
Yeah, all the
Right
novels,
now, called
the
Yeah.
fast and
Home is
furious
Not
stuff's
Home.
here, so
It's
I don't
very,
even
like-
know whether this
It's
is
after
That's a
this.
sad
It's
title.
coming here.
It's
It's
after
really-
this.
I mean, I've.
Well,
everything's
dystopian
great,
stuff is
but
bad.
there's a
Yeah,
difference
like, the
between,
government is
okay,
totally
Shot
closed.
calling.
Like
you know,
everyone's
you're gonna
like
do
scared and going.
Avengers
Oh,
and
that's
you have
crazy.
seen
Okay.
it cost.
Oh, man.
Zombie apocalypse.
You have some scary
Dystopia is
stories.
sad.
What's his
Utopia
face,
is creepy.
Nick Fury to whatever it's called,
between,
Cat
I
Model.
don't know.
Okay, that's done out
In
there in
between
front
is
of the
real life.
Alto.
In between is
Yeah.
real life.
There you go.
I'm sure when they wrote that, that was
There's no happy
that
escape from
vision
real
wasn't.
life. It's
No.
either really sad or really
So-
creepy.
Yeah, like you see
Well,
in
But
I
if
don't know
you
if
give
you
it
see
some
Black
time,
Panther,
then,
Right.
you know,
and they have like the British Museum that's actually the High Museum.
Is it?
Yeah. So if you go to like the Woodruff Center, you're like, wait, why this?
But
This is the same thing from the Black Panther
I mean,
movie.
common
Right,
is
this is for the British.
tragedy plus
Yeah.
time
Right.
equals
Right,
positive,
so you
right?
need
So
an
you have
artist to
sad
kind of
stuff, you have dystopian
help
stuff, you
visualize how
have,
the
to
shot's
look back
gonna
at it
be.
from a
So
lens
what
that's
happens
farther
with
away.
storyboarders, what they do is,
I mean, there's a lot of zombie comics too.
so before they start making the big budgets to hire all these studios to make all these cool graphics and, you know, call the shot, you know, how the kind of cameras you're gonna need to create these shots, the storyboard artists actually illustrate the script, the parts, the highlights of the script that need, that's gonna be the most costly,
That's funny.
and they design the proper shot,
It's really sad.
character, you know, place the characters and everything. That way they can plan out a budget, how much they're gonna spend for certain, you know, parts of the production.
Right.
So they need an artist because it's cheaper to hire an artist to draw something out, that way they get the visuals, and they start plotting out how they're actually gonna execute those shots. You know, it's gonna be an overhead shot where they use a drone, there's gonna be a CGI part, you know, the sequence, how that's gonna happen. You know, before they spend those big budgets, they have, you need a production artist that's gonna be able to draw those things out.
Right. What's that?
So when it comes, so storyboard is similar to comics except for,
I just wrote it in the concept, I can't tell.
Love Breaker? No,
Go, 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 read it.
yeah, so artists are very useful in that arena.
Right.
Wait, in fourth?
You know, like what I'm teaching here is like, people can develop a story, and visualize it, you can apply it to work for somebody else, or create their own franchise. Or see entertainment now, or creativity starting or artists, you can make something out of anything. You know, these characters that they make, they can start on Instagram, like, and if they own that, and somebody else will go on and like, hold up, like, look at that.
This conversation.
Manipulation.
Books, but it comes to the thing where
I don't have
it's
a time.
like,
Tune
okay,
into season
well,
2.
we're gonna go with the Sam Wilson version of Captain America versus, you know, it's like, why not
Wait,
Mine's a weird plot.
put the time into really building up the Falcon character? You know, that's the thing, you know, the Black Panther character.
Yeah,
You look
wait,
at
pressure.
it and go back to the
Pressure.
old books and look at it.
Pressure.
They didn't
Ooh,
even
that's
start fleshing that out.
Pressure.
Brainstorm.
And that's
He
really
might not be
it's
alone.
not just
Home is home is not home.
saying,
It's
oh,
not
well,
today. No, home is not home is the one with all the characters.
you're going to have, you're gonna do a Miles Morales Spider-Man, great, but what they did was they
I don't know,
created
like, well, it's like a
a whole
robot.
biography and a
but
whole
he's
set of
like-
characters that made sense, that made that
Is that
character
what-
stand on
where
its own. You
zombies
don't
are?
have to kind of
No, the zombies are in the
stuff
Like
it
he's a
into
robot.
it and come
In the
back,
first book, he's trying to find his creator.
you know,
It's like
build
dark
new
crystal, you
characters
can't understand what's happening.
that work instead of just
Oh,
one
I
purpose.
like so many places.
Yeah,
Yeah.
repurpose.
That's gonna require
Well, oh, yeah.
That other like,
No.
That's what the
Well,
publishing
well, I don't know
kind of
much
struggles with
about
because they want certain
one
things.
episode.
You know, like
Oh,
You know,
usually
some of these gimmicks that you were talking about, you come back and redo everything every 3 years, or you come up with these storylines and you paint yourself into a corner.
No, because I'm
It's like,
usually
okay,
pretty
well,
sure it's
The
like,
thing that's amazing to me
it's
that
literally
over the
just
last
like a
few
shadow
years,
almost.
you know, Hollywood and the comic industry is like, oh my god,
He was a
there's
first
stories.
creator,
capable.
and he learned all this knowledge. Does he turn? Is he like a hero?
So what happens? What's Marvel's big, one of the best shows on Netflix right now? And last year was Luke Cage.
So mine turns
What happened
into a
last year?
superhero.
They canceled his show.
He's crossing.
You nuts?
Did they?
Yes, they canceled Luke Cage. Marvel Comics kept the actual comic, the print comic.
But the second season just came out of the show.
they cancel the show, they cancel how many
The
productions.
first season had the highest ratings of any Marvel show on Netflix.
Okay,
Blade,
which I love what Blade was. Blade is good, but Blade is a D-level character in the books. Black Panther was maybe a C-level character. They never really did anything with it, and it hasn't really been a continuous publishing. I mean, the last 2 years, they actually started to, yeah, these characters were really defined in the movies. And then, you know, the other side of it is even with these marquee characters, they come to, you know, Batman and Superman, Superman, you're taking like 3 different stories and just kind of slamming them
They
together.
actually comics and music.
What they did,
Like people like, okay, like in comics, we got an aspect comic, or like take a comic, you know, Batman, you open the paper,
they said,
you got your own freaking book. It's like, yo, I don't even know what this is.
And of course,
It looks dope, the story's dope.
well, they did that in Spider-Man, all these things.
You don't have to be like, okay, you got a SoundCloud,
You
you
take
got
a little bit of this, a little bit of
I'm
that.
like, people wanna see dope stuff.
This is the Ultron.
And then there's two types of people.
Ultron Prime is my
You're
favorite.
gonna rehash any fanboy, and then you're gonna come out with like, oh, I'm gonna take everything that's dope about
That's
my
like,
again,
again, that's a character called
You see
Gavatron.
my character
Who lived
they're
in
all
the
based off all this
Alright
stuff,
guys,
but I
let's
tell my own story, like, this is what I wanna
I'm
see.
like, what the?
I like it, but we were
That
having
would
to.
have been a really interesting, cool storyline. Iron Man 3. I don't know if you ever seen the digital comic
This is,
called Extremis.
I have one never
It's-
there.
I got it in
It's okay
like
then.
This was
seven
We have
books.
this is
more
for-
characters
It's
you
a,
can list
you know,
down.
they came out with
I
this
think, you have to, when you have to,
We wanna
things you
focus
can read up
on
again, and
three
digital
right now.
edit and everything,
Nice.
it's like, okay, now you're in a process.
They did,
That's for me.
Yeah, they did.
Everybody got ideas,
Yeah,
and it's
let's
like,
start
they
with
wanna
that.
keep
Like,
flowing
And
the
then
books
just
to
because
the
when
one.
we do
They
this
did
for comic
human
book short
ones,
the speed
format,
bumps,
it's also gonna
obstacles.
be, you know,
I
we're
wanna
doing very
create
short
process
videos right
and
now
flow.
because
An
we're in
Iron Man
class.
title
So
called
try to
Then
focus
you
on
have that,
like just
then
the
you can
main
be like,
characters.
yo, check
And
out
if
this
you
thing I
only
did.
have one character,
And
that's
that
enough.
was
You
the
don't
actual
have to have
story.
And you there, you build a
That they
community,
kinda
and it's like, yo,
But,
this
you know,
is made
we
up
wanna
like
keep it to like
very
three
like,
right now because
and you get
because
that
of time,
iron
we wanna
stuff
make
is
sure
Which,
that
you know, is the people
write
with
the
the
story
stuff in
including
the
all
job
those
it's
characters.
like, I'm gonna start
They
saying,
kind
I'm
of
gonna start saying,
diluted it, put on some
I was like, you know, I was like, alright, this is supposed to be like creme of the creme,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, that works.
teaching in school and
Yeah,
stuff, but I'm just like, yo,
that's
why,
fine. So, yeah.
I mean, the character, you know, the students looking like me and stuff,
Like getting ready to
like
Dr.
Yeah,
Phoenix.
I have like
You know, it's like, okay,
Next
you
step.
can add
Why
one
you doing
character
that?
to the list, that's fine, but like I said, right now for time's sake, we're not gonna
I like
try
when
to
you can
develop
use-
all of them
yeah.
right now,
I'm
so I
like,
want
you
you
guys
guys
know,
to
like, when your
focus on
character
just a
got
couple of
even Super
characters.
Saiyan.
So that when we write the script, you only have 2 or 3 characters in mind, so you can focus on writing the script.
I'm just gonna put in for now.
Okay.
What could I put for his age? He's a robot.
He's a robot? How old is he as a robot? How long has he been around?
I was actually happy that
So
the
he's just amazing.
But see, then again,
Hi.
I didn't see that when I was a kid. I just seen that he was an adult. That was one movie I
Well, I
never
mean,
really
people be
understood.
like people age, right? Your robots have their own age, right? Like if you have a
Okay,
computer,
he beats up
5 years
women,
old.
or he gets.
It means a different thing than saying
So I
I'm
don't
5
see
years
what
old.
the
But
what we
you
redeeming
say
law
thing
is.
is,
say
it's
robot
gonna be-
age and then put
is that
started
it's
from
survived.
was a bite off.
That seems to be the only point.
Walt Disney.
By the time we
Like the Godfather anime, like Suzuka, created Astro Boy, made over like 200 million pages or something.
A good
He was inspired by Walt
So I don't
Disney.
know.
Which is like, alright, I'm gonna take Mickey Mouse, I'm gonna take this character, I'm gonna make a home story.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Yeah, look up Astro Boy,
honestly.
creative Astro Boy.
Don't have to have a sex. Or some robots do
So
have a sex.
we're created that.
Deadpool.
But he came out with like five
It
different,
could be both.
all these different genres, all these different styles.
It really just
He's called like the Godfather of
To
anime.
me, I love the first one.
And
So he started, but he got inspired by your style.
Hi.
And we got inspired by what they came out with.
He wants to know
So
the
the
So,
real
jokes
height
so
of
all I'm
the
thinking about is just
character.
me. I'm not, I like anime when certain cartoons came out. Like, I like when I saw like the first time
They look that
like
way.
Akira
You know?
and stuff like that. It's like, because it was like unique storytelling and a different style of like cartoon, like
When I read that,
like you
I
didn't see like
didn't
the stills
I
and
read
then like all this panning and stuff. Or like they're like jumping and then like the background is like doing all kinds of things and stuff. The whole style of making cartoons was just different.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 versions.
And they made it appeal to themselves and also like
They're doing another version,
like, Western audience with the Pokemons and
which
everything.
hopefully they'll get right.
But then they always jacking off our stuff too. Like K-pop was like taken from like hip hop.
Then we're gonna take a little break
Yeah.
after that.
So it's just like, why wouldn't you? So what I would do
They're
is just
actually
like, what
gonna
I
get
did
it
was,
right.
when I was learning about comics, it's like, okay, what did I like? And I just kept jacking like, I like that style, like the way they do eyes, like
But you don't do the character
we do here, the way
development.
they do like
Stuff happens.
that part.
idea.
But then it's like, what I want to be,
Just
my story. All right, where's he from? Well, he's not gonna be from
Do it right.
Metropolis or like Japan. He's gonna be from New York or something. But then even Spider-Man was from New York, but in Gotham City, but it's like, oh, he's not from the Bronx though. So like, this is my building. Like, where's the fire escape? People gonna talk the way we talk. You know, my kind of slang. Like, they're gonna speak. So you put yourself into it. And then people that say, you know, yo, she's from my neighborhood, and there's the representation, and that's how you're gonna pull in just from seeing that. Like your stories, like you're a dancer, you know, you're like went to school. How many characters you see that they're doing that in a comic or any kind of story genre?
I used to read.
If you have a comic, you have also the advantage that you also know about dancers. You illustrate as a choreographer,
Yeah. I read
which is also
I
storyboard,
read.
which also could be used as a template for filming.
I mean, good story is a good story.
So it's like there's no competition because nobody's doing it.
was
Or
pretty
has it.
good.
So it's like, why are you gonna bite off anybody's lane and like fight people? And it's like, why not my own?
It was a big made him this
Catch up to my shit.
secret agent.
Okay, notice something about my
Yeah, you were talking like you know your characters.
No.
I didn't like it in the 70s.
That's what I'm saying, like make your drawings.
Everything was teamed up.
It's
So
already
it's
hard
Captain
enough
America,
for
Falcon,
now.
Yeah.
Green
And
Lantern,
the
Green
world already
Arrow,
gonna tell you like creativity, nothing.
Daredevil,
Blah blah blah.
Widow.
Right.
You know, it gets me this good, and then like you feel it's already better. It's like, how are you gonna make your mark? Or
Yeah.
even make any kind of like, create a livelihood from there, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm not mad.
Yeah.
It looks like you guys kind of got the concept down here. So, you're you guys working hard again.
Yeah, so it's not like
So
say
you
that
guys
you're not against the
gonna take
husband.
I just
pictures.
know right
It's just you and the other people.
Yeah.
It would be a reason why
The character doesn't have any ace.
Unless you
Like
get
the
something
antagonist?
It's so helpful because I only have in 20 pockets.
I think it means
So like, okay, put it in here. When I go to cons, I can like take it here,
and
get the change and stuff, put money back in here.
Is that right?
And I travel to like other countries that are different stuff, so I don't have to worry about getting my stuff snatched.
I actually, it'll be good for people who are new to the game, so that they
But, yeah, so like when I'm saying about like my mission is all about, I want to see new stories.
I'm trying to make it.
And I kind of treated the way I, you know, my passion of like my influences.
5 feet, and then
Like, I was a comic book nerd, but I wasn't like a typical nerd either. I was like a Wu-Tang head. You know, to me, like my superheroes are like rappers or something. Like, man, so I try to imagine that. Different kind of stories. I try to help people get their own, you know, create their own paths, because I think that's more interesting than just like, oh, another person drawing something I really cliche.
Okay, so
through a chainsaw.
Yeah.
3 days.
Like, story structure, because it's so cool, you know, beginning, middle, end. You got somebody that goes through
all
some
these,
things,
like, a certain amount of
but it's like,
So I
okay,
got all
character
A's.
flies, like what do you do
So
with
then
that
she's
flight?
gonna give me some
Like I have a character that can fly, but they're too lazy, so they got
And
fat and they
then
don't fly, but they have a potential to.
He's the
So the struggle is like, okay, they're gonna start flying again or not?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's gonna have a background.
He's
noise.
not
Yeah.
short though.
They actually released the beta soon.
Like I like the Watchmen movie and like the book.
What's
They're one of my favorite books.
Is
They have, but I was like, okay, this guy's supposed to be mean, but he's not funny.
That's captured.
So I made a character called, you know, the
You need a
comic,
name for
but
them?
he's Latin, so I call him a comic book.
No, but,
So he's like, okay, but he's actually stand-up comedian that also wants to be a superhero, but he has superhero struggles.
The victim.
So that just sent me in a whole different trajectory.
What is
But then also like my influences and stuff.
Yeah, I think it is a lot, they say a lot of comedians are actually.
Yeah.
I might
This
get
is
out.
how they
Oh, boy.
express.
It looks like a
The
cloud.
hostility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly
Yeah.
not.
Wow. It's like this one.
Angry and it comes out as
$60.
looking at life as a set
Okay,
of
so
absurdities
standard
and that
edition is
becomes the
$60.
basis of the art.
But it doesn't come with the DLCs. The digital deluxe edition costs $100.
Right.
It
I know that a lot of
comes with the
depression.
DLCs and some copy.
Robin's like, yeah,
So you can,
They're
you
not-
know, like, if I'm just gonna do 60.
Richard Pryor,
I don't know.
you just go down the whole list. You know.
I'll ask my mom, but she's probably just gonna say no.
So what are character sheets here?
And there's also a higher.
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't mean
It
everything.
costs $130 a lot.
I only have male characters, so
I normally get any kind of thing, I normally get medium, I don't get too high, because then you might think you're too
So
high.
that's me
A
too.
lot of comedians.
Say like-
Freddie Prinze in the 70s. And,
Yeah.
how did Lenny Bruce die?
Cool.
So everything from
So-
season 3 and 4,
What the?
60s.
and then.
So buddies, pals. So you guys already filled this stuff out already?
A lot of like challenges
Huh?
and a lot of personal issues.
Open
Yep.
character.
But eventually I'll.
But we're just giving you the space to do so. So you got your main character, that's either your hero or your villain. But you always want to. But this is just kind of a way to kind of keep fleshing them out. So sometimes the character looks super cool, but you don't know what they do. So you know, think about giving them a name, what kind of gender they are, how old are they. This is also going to help you as you develop your character in the future, how they're going to look, how they're going to change, and where they're at. You know, personality. You know, think about if they're an upset kind of person, if they're a happy person, if they're like a helpful character. And then the role is, you know, the hero, protagonist, antagonist. You know, they're just a supporting character. Sometimes you just have a cool character, but you don't know what they're supposed to do. You're just thinking like, okay, what's this guy do? He's a cop. You know, he's a bank robber. You know, he's a hero for hire or like military. You just kind of think about those things. And when you have your one character, if you want to, if they're the protagonist or hero, think about what would be the antagonist. What would be their villain against that? It's usually like the opposite of that, someone that gets in their way. You know, if it's like the Human Torch, they're probably gonna have trouble with Aquaman, you know? Fire Pokemon had trouble dealing with like water Pokemon, right? So thinking opposites and contrasts. And yeah, and then whenever you guys want, you can take a break, kind of take a breather, you know, stretch out a little bit, and then we're gonna get to the second half of the workshop.
Yeah,
Should be more story development stuff.
Yeah, let's take a 10-minute break. You guys walk around, stretch, it's about to move there, get a snack if you need to. Probably not going outside because of the storm, but
Oh, wow.
they have,
I don't know.
Doubt.
Probably back there. I don't really know. Yeah.
I want to see this.
but they have a lot of food things around, but now it's like, about to storm. I need to make 2 more
But in New York, I worked in a guerrilla marketing with Zipcar, and we used to do like all these different kind of marketing activities, like with the cars and stuff. You know, it was promoting the cars, so we put like magnets on them.
Right.
We used to set up on like corners where they had like the parking lots for the cars, and we used to hand out flyers and like blast music and talk to all the people walking by.
Yeah.
And like also have some people set up on the trains when people come up going to work and stuff like that. We like hand them out flyers. And it was pretty cool job, and we got like the word out pretty good on that grassroots level. Just working on like stream budgets, man. And we used to do one time we tried to promote smart cars during like Easter, so we had like Easter suits and stuff.
Okay.
And we used to do like the village parade. So we come out with the cars and put like all these lights on them.
So it's like a street team.
Yeah, we did this street team promotion and stuff. But
He's
it
literally.
was cool, man. I liked it. And we used to set up different events and
You
festivals.
really have that down here, do you?
Well, they had zip car here. They used to take, they use the tactics that we use, but
But
I don't know how good it
they put stuff up
Yeah.
on everywhere that's not moving.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. We used to put up posters on
yeah.
going to the businesses, give them like little cards, little shirts and stuff in it. And we all had like brand ambassador gear and everything, so they were like, "What is this?" We were just like flashing on them, man. But I never got to know much about like traditional publishing and marketing. Just like grassroots stuff. Did you get to work in marketing now here, or just doing different career shifts?
No, I had a business here for a while, and then I sold it, and kind of in this limbo. I still haven't qualified.
Oh, qualified. You gonna start another business, or?
I don't have money for that right now, so right now I'm just trying to pay the bills. So yeah, maybe down the line, but
Oh, qualified.
yeah,
Look, you're great, but you're just too good.
right. Like, what does that mean?
That's the worst. Like, I don't care about the car, I need a job.
Send resumes out with stuff stripped off. Like, what is the problem?
Jobs are just lame, man. Like, not.
But I heard that, the whole thing with Atlanta, I heard was just, everything's about being networked here. I mean, it's everywhere, but particularly, I guess I'm not really networked.
You're like kind of a misfit outsider trying to get in to get by type of deal. So what kind of, you trying to work for like a publishing company out here, or just any kind of marketing, or just be like,
Yeah,
some kind of
really,
director?
I mean, as far as I know, it's not really a media center, so, yeah, what's that mean for that kind of thing? What do you think?
Just look at.
I was,
I just look at.
I don't know if you do digital media stuff, but I know like there's agencies and stuff, and they do it in design firms.
That's what I, when I start getting into something again, I wanna,
Get into a social media program and get up on some of the new tools.
Me and her we took some classes, like little boot camp courses at General Assembly here at Pond City Market. They teach like different things like that, like digital marketing, different kind of like more contemporary skills, to kind of just upgrade,
This is mine.
I guess we've got a lot of repertoire. They're kind of reasonably priced and stuff, and they have a pretty good alumni. It's not like a credit institution. They only work with like working professionals and stuff. So maybe you guys should check out General Assembly.
Why is it Quinn the bad guy?
So it's like
I like Quinn. Quinn is
No, they're a bad guy.
a little short and skinny.
They have multiple franchises
They're a
too,
bad guy.
but it's located here in Pond City Market.
Acts nice and
And they also do online stuff too.
super evil. No, I'm.
And
Yeah,
we take up digital marketing classes there, how to
Please.
How to leverage the internet
Kind of like,
search
there's a leader.
engine
Yeah,
optimization and
one
stuff.
who's like always fighting. Like,
But they teach all types of things there.
it's
Like the hyenas
Adobe
from The Lion King.
to like,
Oh,
user experience,
Ceiling is
user,
the shortest.
UX.
Scarrow is about.
Um,
I'm the
shortest chillers.
Yeah, it might be worth checking out.
Tree.
Oh my god, he's 6 feet. But
I
guess
taught a
who's
workshop
taller
there
than
before.
Karma. No, he's 6'1".
your village is so, your
If
people
I
are
start
so
general
tall, like
assembly,
probably like
like assembly line.
our age, and then like 4,
Oh, well,
No, these people
like,
are 20.
like 5.
these people are 16 to 18, so.
Oh, is it bad that they're 4'8" and
They used to do stuff up in New York.
Maybe that's bad.
And then
I
they
think that's a
all-
little bit. Alright, then I'll change
Like
it.
the
for him.
92nd Street
And then
Y
get
used to do a
him
lot of
5'5".
stuff, but it was like a.
Well,
Yeah, it was a little free, like a creative loafing, but it was like a newsletter thing.
And then you're
in New York
5'1".
to pick up with all these.
Village
programs.
Voice or something.
Well, the Village Voice, but this was something that was just about programs that you could just come in and.
She's
Yeah,
no
continuing
female.
education kind of deal.
It's a Pikachu thing.
Yeah, even university,
Scout?
they teach like
Or
some
he just exists.
team education kind of things.
He's just there.
You both.
He doesn't look like He's yellow.
You look like you did.
He kind of is. He kind of is. Like, he's just gross because he's in a fight with the zombies.
I think he just has black eyes because he's dead.
No, he's got black eyes because
Is it Maple for actually?
Alright, we go how these
Oh, yes.
people doing, like some of your friends
Is
at.
Maple for actually?
Look,
They do even like little orientations and everything before you even have to sign up for anything.
8 ball.
Ask questions and
Frack. I'm writing that. Frack.
stuff
Did he
like that.
lose the fight?
Yes. No. Yes, he did. No, he didn't.
No, I was eating or
He won, but.
one of these, the smiley faces thingies.
So what do you wanna do?
And I got it done
Wanna
later.
Go back to New York, or what do you wanna do?
Well, what I would like to do is, is like the dream and what I would like to do. The dream is I want to set,
So we
He's really
establish the first, black art school.
Like the
Black art school, first black art school.
Oh,
Like a tap, or make it like a black, make it like a
He's
Shannon
already
Washington pad.
white.
Like apparently like the biggest export we made.
college or
Wait,
college level or?
It's gonna be, well, it's gonna, I want it to be accredited for college, but it's gonna be
Wait, what?
like a community institution.
Because they're all like 20.
So-
Alright.
So the dream is, because like I looked up, is like, okay, Atlanta had like black art. There's been like, you know, HBCU, but it hasn't been like black art school.
That's funny because I was thinking the same thing.
Is it like an animal world, like art
Yeah.
fair or something?
But then guess what? Like
Technically,
the billion-dollar industry that gets exported out of the U.S. or like around the world is our music, and the top-rated movies is our movies.
Well, if you look back
He
at like
teleported.
Howard,
He just
like
He
I was
ascended.
watching Luke Cage.
No,
He's the Flash.
He
Look at
ascended.
all the art.
He's the
of
Flash.
He ascended.
I mean, they keep talking about the SWAT piece, but all through there is all this.
Where did he go?
all this stuff.
I'll go look for it.
He must have been removed from Time Runner.
A lot of folks, like I also.
So future shenanigans, so time traveling shenanigans.
She's always down
his
there.
past self was killed, so now
Oh,
she's
my
bad.
When he was an undergrad, he was actually an art student.
Which character?
Which
character was
That's
that?
what they did.
None of them are that.
It's
Except
good
for
because of
Unfinished
work,
and
which is
Bad.
celebrated now, it wasn't more than.
Unfinished is his name
Back
because he's
in the,
literally
you
almost
know,
unfinished.
You call it
30s and
he,
40s.
say their
Oh,
gender's
yeah.
not
Their
specified.
gender's not
So he
specified, their age is not specified, their height can be any size.
Yeah,
Their body type can be any height. Of course,
yeah. For me, like teaching is, like I kind of got inspired by like, you see like internet gurus and stuff, but it's like they're a source, you know, like even Tony Robbins, he's a teacher or something. But I like, okay, but my favorite artists are also ones that are able to teach as well, like pass down those skills. In my experience, in going to getting traditional training, you know, in college and university level,
Did you know that
the
sailors?
type of art that I was doing wasn't taught there, wasn't even appreciated or even looked into. But then it's like, okay, why are they like so valuable? They try to create these like enigmas in industry like Basquiat
Where
or,
was so confused?
you know.
But that's
So-
also
so-
patrons like
No, the
jazz.
character.
When I was a kid, if you went to.
Hello,
They both have longer
You
arms.
want particularly,
Welcome.
you want to study that at a university level, probably.
I can't see the fine
Like
print.
Juilliard could do that.
So,
Juilliard
who
can
should I add?
because there
Oh,
are
I
people
think
that
that's
have
zombie sailor.
Let me see.
I told you it's time traveling shenanigans. His past self was killed by
Zombie
his
They
future self.
call it-
What?
they refer to
Name
it
is
in
Sarah.
class
So that
as,
means he is
as
killing
legit.
himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after you kill
implication,
your past self,
this
you're
is
gonna
not-
kill yourself.
Future self, so that's why he doesn't exist
You
anymore.
can do is recognize, oh, that's
Who
really
doesn't
good
exist?
stuff, but
That's what happened
I
to
remember I had this argument, and
his
teacher was
future
talking
self.
about, oh, well,
way back in time,
you know,
he killed his past self, so now he
here's what's
doesn't
wrong with
exist
John
anymore.
Coltrane. We
He's
can
gone.
As soon
play
as you kill
this
him,
piece of
you're
music,
gone.
you know, 2 or 3 different versions with
He's
it.
gonna appear that
And
way randomly.
It's
I don't
not
wanna
precise,
add
you
any
can't write it
sort of
down, and
Oh, wait,
it's
no,
not
it's
this, so
empty.
it's not
Oh,
valid,
it's
and
easy
it's like, well,
anymore.
that's
It's
kind of
empty.
the point.
Who's that?
Of
To
that,
me,
it's
that's
not
so much more
classical,
historical
it
than I
is
wanted to
something,
and
this is
not-
something else.
Like, they do
They
so
all
much
have their,
more.
Who is that?
That's
you
Chandler.
know, values.
He's a
Wait,
cat.
they're the
Exactly.
same.
So what I'm interested in doing
No,
is,
he's a wolf.
No.
it's been the proof through
Okay.
the
I
monetary
don't
industry,
do
right?
Hopefully he didn't go
We have a
upstairs.
$1 billion industry that's being exported,
This is so sad.
but it's not being acknowledged.
She's not
you know, some like the pop culture kind of reference.
I don't say that.
But it's
We're
still
not
something
Maybe
legitimized.
it's a
You know, so I was like, I like an institution where graffiti is legitimized, where comics
Except it's not the.
and different kind of voices are legitimized. Not just like the traditional classical
No,
stuff.
he's something from
You also
like,
get to build from that, but also create that space where
He's
what hasn't been traditional will be also
Oh, his name is
legitimized and
Harmon.
validated.
And adding that even story.
It's
Right,
close.
so
Sometimes
back
you're
to
right.
bilingual
Okay,
content has
one time
Spanglish.
you threw a
That's
chance
another thing, so trying to legitimize Spanglish. Because these ways that people speak.
Okay, so there's, okay, so
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so like the culture that, you know,
He used
kind of
to be able to
legitimize
fly.
these arts that have traditionally
used to be
been
what?
disregarded
Able to
or
fly?
not like
No,
valued.
he still can.
And also taking that one step further.
I think
So
he-
we're talking
I
about
wonder when
culture.
no,
Like,
he
they
did
did
something
want
bad,
that
and then his
also
mother
be
said
on
bad
top
karma.
of that.
Mary,
So like, Atlanta is the number one export for like the top taking over like the music
I mean,
right
their wing
You
is
know?
like more retail.
trap music, but they don't want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, they kind of
It's
see, you know,
accessible.
they're like,
But
we're
it's
not
not
really
really
showing
like,
stage.
and
It would be like,
it's
it's bad
scary.
scary, like, you know, music and stuff like that, but
Zombie
it's
cinema.
like,
That could be a 5 minute difference.
yeah, that's where we get all our
Like, if
regular.
that
That's
is
what
those
I
big
call
ones.
Scouts are
Yeah,
so
but-
bad. You mean Scouts?
Oh, it's another
Now
part.
they're gonna
Big
end up in
Yeah,
like-
Scouts are a bit scary.
Yeah, exactly. Let's bring Hollywood down.
Even
We
though
already
she's
have our own
nice.
thing. That's,
She's the one to be scared of. Scarl.
Thing,
She's the one
you gotta have those
from what?
kind of business
Yeah,
people
she's scary.
that can kind of.
Is it YouTube time yet?
This is literally, this is
Yeah,
literally
package it,
my
market
goal.
it, and also even the ownership for that.
This is literally my
You know,
goal.
decision makers aren't just like exploited eventually.
Yeah, she's in page.
Oh no.
I think that's the thing with hip hop is that each artist is their own
Where do you
boss.
live now?
They call their own shot.
I'm
You
gonna go
can't
to
control that.
Nice.
At least with like every other music,
the.
you know,
Oh,
genre.
nice.
I don't want to say they can be controlled, but they kind of
Everyone here is
can. Like
11.
hair bands had managers,
I'm on.
and
No, her.
you know,
She's
rock and roll
13.
and pop stars had their managers that report
I'm
the
going
changes.
to
And pretty much every
I'm going to
influential, you know,
That's all.
rap artist for the past 15, 20 years, they don't listen to anybody. They do their own thing, and that's what makes them really good.
But like with rock,
Ooh, okay, let me see. Let me see.
Let me look through it.
probably rock right now.
Herbal comics. It's by Herbal Comics.
Mine has like nothing.
They're not,
Herbal, no, it's not.
you know, you don't see, right, and I don't know that, but you know, critics will say, okay, well, there's no real breakthrough band in the last
I friend was on this.
20 years.
Body
You know,
type.
Rolling
My friend
Stones,
Ashton, he just
What is that? Is that Plankton?
No.
He obviously was crazy.
You know, the Beatles,
Hi, I
like
like
that,
this
the
random
That was
breakthrough
no
music in the
Plankton.
last, you know, 15, 20 years
let me explain.
has been hip hop.
This was
A lot of
supposed to
that
be me.
has been driven by technology, because you know, record
You can see the
companies
resemblance.
kind of managing how this stuff does. To your point,
This is a
everything
wig.
is decentralized. I can sit in my
Cat
room
is
and the track
And there's
on a
You're
PlayStation.
back.
And,
Think like your
and
sister's
I
on
can
trees.
I can see SoundCloud and come up with my own distribution, and
I just let
and
him
then
do
if it
whatever he
organically
wanted.
takes
That
off,
was
that's, you
insane,
know,
obviously.
a company will come in and
Although I
kind of
am
give
happy
marketing
to be-
support,
look at it.
but you don't
Looks just
have
like
the kingmakers that you had,
Yeah.
you know, 30 years ago that will help define it. So
This is
classical music and
Like
jazz is
one,
completely,
It's
as
a
an
character I
economic
never really
thing, has
long
been
time ago.
trashed.
They have
You
like
know, it doesn't
binary
have.
code. And
They have, like,
Like,
no
that
names.
rock
and
is-
They have like no
jumping
names.
to
This is what I couldn't draw
Right.
next.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that the music
Why
industry
couldn't
is
you
poor.
go in there?
Since everything is on digitally, they don't make money.
Wow, it's like two
Right.
I
lines.
mean,
Oh,
that's
that's
like
your own.
couple bucks
There's
a
like
year
two.
on an iTunes sale.
Yeah.
But
This is
where
what
they make their money is touring and concerts.
Shows, merchandise.
So you made
That's
your
what I like
own
about like
universe?
comics now, that you can do stuff that you couldn't even do even 5 years ago. Like even when you talk about like hip hop music, there's artists out there that have huge followings and huge views. But it's like you don't know what you don't know. Like there's artists like I just heard about this guy named like Tekashi 69. I never heard of him, but I see his views. He has like all these millions of views. Like I never heard of this guy, but he has like quadrillions of views and like all this stuff. And then because of that, the producers and stuff, they want to use it for distribution purposes. Like okay, let's get a slice of that. Now that they have an establishment and some kind of following and stuff. You know, other artists like there's one called Big Boogie with the Hoodie. He started on SoundCloud. Like people just like his music, they're sharing it. He didn't even have to even go like print a CD or anything. He just got all these so many views, and I had good
She's
production
not
value, like
saying,
a couple tracks,
this
and
is
then
what I tried
going
to
tour with that.
make
Just around
really long
taking
time.
over the neighborhood
This
with
is
that.
what the people look like.
You know, like I opened up a SoundCloud just to have soundtrack for my own comic. Just like, alright,
Well, she
I want to
has
make,
hand.
and I hired a group of artists, musicians. Like I just need a soundtrack for this stuff. I want to create an experience with my comics.
No, I know that, I know.
I make money and everything right now, but it's just like I created that platform in that space that wasn't available
I know
before.
that.
Right.
You know, so you can start with like low income, low investment, high yield possibilities. But you have to do legwork. You know, you can't just like upload it. All right, internet, make me blow up. You have to put in some legwork and stuff. You know, the way I'm doing my legwork is doing workshops. You know, connecting with other people and seeing how you can just amplify all that. You know, whatever calendar is on that website. And I'm always online.
It's on our Facebook page. We have events for everyone.
No, he's a
Yeah.
teacher, he just wears the hat for fun.
Like even my company's essentially just a startup. Like, there's no such thing as a bunch of companies have me starting one up. Usually there's a publishing company, but there's an artist. But it's like, no, I have a company and I help people make comics and I help people, I teach them art instruction and I help people develop legitimate successful properties for their own, whether it's to go with brand or a subsidiary, you know, property that they want to grow to attach to the brand or company. So that when they do a comic or a story or whatever, they can use for other purposes. Now people are your own brand, like, oh, I'm so and so, and I do, you know, food. I go play, you know, I have a blog. But you can't always sell yourself. Like, if you want to, you have a cartoon or an artist, version of yourself, that's something you
No,
make
no,
it
I know I missed something, I know I missed something.
Down the hall to the right.
Character.
Wait, we're looking at
So,
it.
you know, that's why I'm encouraging you is just like, you
What is that?
have your hands in different things, you can make
Oh, I see it. Circle.
for art.
You're bending it.
But
I know I've
you
been.
gotta have strong characters and
Right,
cool visuals. And you know, what's this about?
I'll show you my cringy drawing.
And you can make like a cosplay version of it and you can make videos out of it. And some cell phone stuff.
Can you make her
you
not
just
bend
can,
over?
you can make it like blend real reality with
No.
imagination.
No.
Make your
No.
own.
What's in
Not
there?
necessarily have to have like a whole
It's the same thing.
thing just yet. Like you can build up to this. By the time this comes out,
This is.
you already got the pre-demand. You already got the pre-order set.
You see,
You just like, alright, you get a printer. You already got the pre-demand. You got your cut. You just distribute
And then
it.
I let, this is my friend.
Opposed to like, okay, I'm gonna take all this money, try to get a loan, and hopefully I can get into diamond or something.
This is, she was
Create your own models.
This
With
is
your budget,
our,
with your own
There's
assets.
a lot of inside jokes. This is
You
our
know,
teacher.
make it profitable.
You guys are
Printing ain't cheap,
So,
and the industry
so
wants
should
sure
I say-
things.
Yes,
Or whatever industry you wanna kind of get into.
There's me.
But there's still certain need, right? Like, Gus doesn't have a big
Fun of
team.
him, his cars
You know?
and
It's mediocre. I mean,
You're
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's
When you said
getting
his
a lot
car
better.
was in
we
We
the
were
have, I
gonna,
think,
we're gonna drive his car.
well, once I just moved here, but
This
there's
is, I
three
let lots of
separate
people.
titles that have come out of the
I
rest
let
of the last
lots of
few years.
people draw this.
Oh wow.
I let lots of
Putting Gus on the map.
short. And then we have dress code like whale.
Speed bump.
We named him.
Speed bump.
Because it looks like a chicken.
No,
leg.
no, I mean,
It's crazy, like, imagine a lot of
Dress code.
comic artists, like even artists in general.
And then
But
these shorts are
there's
not dress
like a
code
scene, but it's like the
because
scene is
that's
just kind of
so
underground
crazy.
thing. There's no like,
You weren't allowed to
major
wear
publisher
shorts
here
that
So,
went above
I
your knee.
heard
Your knee
cosplay
had to be
cosplay
covered
or
by your shorts.
no?
Which is dumb.
Because that's something that
Because
I've
it's
seen in the
distracting
past
apparently.
couple
And
years
it's
ago.
not
distracting?
People
I
probably
have no
being
idea.
criticized for dressing up as like Sailor Moon. Like,
this, I ripped off of it and I had to do a
I
math
just-
problem
I mean,
in here.
I don't. Do I not get something?
I
Did I miss
ran
something?
out of scratch.
people want a reason to talk crap sometimes.
I
Yeah, unfortunately,
This is my character
you
Crow.
know, it's
It's like Google, like Google Chrome.
No chrome.
fandom culture that gets crazy.
So,
about certain things.
reinstall Google
Hold
Chrome.
on. Hold on.
The only way I even like I do how-to videos,
You
right?
can erase it.
I even get hit on that. They're like, well,
No chrome.
how come it's not more extensive? I'm like, it's a 2-minute
We had a
video.
bunch of Chromebooks in school.
It's meant to be like a bite-sized thing.
yeah.
I'm not here trying to give a
During
whole
class, my teachers
extensive
told
lecture.
us
Like, I don't like
no
watching long videos, so I
No
make short
Chrome,
videos
which meant do
because I
not
want to watch
take
short
out
things.
Chrome.
No
They
Chrome.
wouldn't-
And I have subtitles because
Don't take out
not everybody
Chrome,
has
they
time to
just
listen to
yell,
something.
"No
You
Chrome."
can just fast forward, like, oh, you said that, you said that. Okay, let me see what it did.
This is
What is that?
Wait.
You still, I still got, I don't know how you still get hate for trying to help you. Like, this is a free video,
This is
and you can critique is like irrelevant.
What's next? Why are you paying me to watch this?
Yeah, like give me a break. Or like, what qualifies you to teach me about comics? What are your credentials? I'm like, you can look at my credentials. Why don't you tell them all here? I'm like, if you feel like being told today, mister, like, who are you? Like, who are you? Tell me about like what qualifications you have to be a critique. So you're gonna deal with certain last reading for you the most positive things and best of intentions. It's silly,
Who's Danny?
but that's their loss, not mine.
I heard almost that same thing from Ian McGinty.
His name is Dan.
Because he was getting from one guy online.
Alright, you guys ready?
I
He
don't
told
know
his
yet.
publisher,
Let's
boom,
get the break.
That's gonna be the bad
The break.
and the same guy like sent me something.
I think that's definitely.
And he said it was
Get
awful.
back to it. Yeah. Continue. I like
I
it.
first thought about even my own book is like I spent years building this up, but it was like an experimental book, so like the style's not gonna be not literally like this, you know. But it was intentional, you know. And then yes, go ahead. You know the way I built. I have gift cards in mine. Like I have my own gear. Like, I don't care if you buy it or not, but it's available. There's a gift card there. I like to package my things. Some people look at you like this, like, yo, buy my comic. There you go.
What?
You know, I'll put. But I wanted to make it experimental and push that limit while I was in school.
Oh my
And
goodness.
getting out is like, okay, what's the demand for the industry? What do I need to demonstrate that's gonna give, you know,
Oh my
big
gosh.
deposits?
How long is that text?
So
Wait,
both of you went to SCAD
Oh.
Yeah.
here or into that?
Here.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me read this.
Can you
She
do it
was
from here
stressing me
that
out
you
with
do it
something, so.
I didn't go to Savannah at all. I
It
visited.
depends. There's some programs in Atlanta that aren't in Savannah. There's some programs in Savannah that
That's
aren't in Atlanta.
possible?
So like
Then you must be able to,
some of the
like,
different
write
programs.
out
Some programs are better in one
1,000
campus than the other.
text
So it really depends on what program you're in.
No, like 1,000 years
So is one considered to be dominant over the other?
Oh,
Really?
no, it's very different from
Line seven,
Atlanta.
line
Yeah.
seven.
You know, it has, yeah, it's in Metropolis, so it's just a different
I was
vibe.
confused.
So this is
It's
like
perfect
considered like a
line
satellite
seven.
campus. This is.
Yo, okay.
Well, there's four campuses and you don't, there's no transfer fee. Like if you go to one school, it's like going to any of them. You know, because they have Atlanta, Savannah, Hong Kong, and McCall Springs.
She was supposed to say I'm very
Did you just say
She wrote
Hong
I've never
Kong?
seen her, and I was like,
Yes.
wait.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
you can
here.
go to any campus without having to transfer anything, so it's like just being in the whole school.
But I
It
mean,
doesn't,
like for example, you could go to UGA
yeah,
and Athens.
So at this
That's
time,
the main,
yes,
that's the mothership.
yeah,
Or you could go to UGA Tifton, UGA
Yeah.
Gwinnett, whatever,
That's
and
different.
that,
yeah.
that's, it's
It's-
UGA, but it's
Yeah,
It's not-
I mean,
not the
yeah, I
main
understand what you're saying, it's
Yeah.
like, it is kind of like a satellite, but it's not that much of
Oh,
a difference,
okay.
because it's
You're
still
a
really
lady.
big campus.
You're a
I mean,
lady.
it's
When you were
still-
saying
it's just
they were
different,
doing
it's
that
like being at a different
Yeah.
school almost.
But like you said, there are programs that
Yeah.
are
Favorite
based
stuff.
here.
But yeah, but Savannah is definitely more spread out, like,
Okay.
Like
this
this
time
time
has
travel
taken
stuff
over
where I had
Savannah.
to fix
Yeah.
something.
So it's
or else the whole
definitely
world
more
would, like,
established in
become a
Savannah, it's
distance.
still the longest.
Right.
But it's not like
Like
you're in
four
Atlanta, it's like
times.
you're,
Each
you know,
time I
completely, you're not part of the main
failed to
city.
say
It's
You're
all
not part of
almost-
the
I was
main.
getting
Yeah.
really
Willow trees,
frustrated.
there's the beach
Yeah.
there. It's more of a different
It's
vibe.
spread wide, but you're still part of
It
the
was
main
her fault. It was her
system,
fault.
like you don't feel like you're.
Okay.
Also in Savannah, SCAD took over like a lot of historic spots. So it's like SCAD town.
how long did
It
it take you to
is,
make
there's
this?
like at least half a dozen buildings that are just
Yeah.
SCAD,
Yeah.
like
Who made
apartments.
this? What?
Yes.
Yeah, so going there's like going to like the art colony.
Yeah.
And then here is like SCAD like right in Midtown, like right in the you know next to the financial district, right between Buckhead and downtown.
Yeah, but here too, they're buying off a lot.
And then you know then over there they have their own museum, but here they have you know walking distance from the High Museum.
Right.
Well, the one in Savannah also has their own movie theater.
Yeah, they have their own movie
Yeah.
theater. And then over here they do
Because
the
they have
ATV.
genre programs stuff to the theater, so it's not in Atlanta.
And that's also where the furniture
She's
is.
been writing
Yeah,
like
furniture
extra.
design is better
No,
here.
But here they have the film
I know,
festival,
this one here,
the bigger film festival. They had like ATV fest. And they bring the videos, and then they have the
Oh,
connection
so
with
one of
like
those
Toy Camps, and they bring like
text
animators.
stories that like,
Yeah.
like
So
It's
these
like
are
we
the-
have the fashion museum
Oh,
here,
no.
Scotland,
And
that's
Main
fashion.
Street.
So it's just different, like,
This is the last thing I said.
alright, let's get,
Next part.
it's like 2:30 already,
Yeah.
that makes an hour.
Yeah.
So I have to finish it,
Go ahead.
so, well,
Wait,
we're
did you
gonna
finish
get
it?
into this, we're gonna real quick,
It's just missing.
now that you guys have spent time thinking about your story a lot, fill out a lot of these forms now, we're we're gonna work on the script. So we're gonna, just for time's sake, we're gonna keep it really simple. We have 1 page, 3 panels, because we want you to understand the structure of how to set up these panels and how to set up the script. So if you go to page 6, yes, please. And then after this, we're gonna get into the drawing for the rest of the time. So I know you guys are getting tired of writing, but gotta write something first. So, alright, so if you guys are on page 6, we have, the first thing you'll see is the front cover on the top of page 6, right? We can come back to that, so we're gonna skip that for now, because that's something that, like the title, sometimes the front cover comes out better after you have the story down and everything, drawn out and stuff. So, and then after that, you see it says page, right? And then under that it says settings, characters, summary. So for each page that you write the script, a comic book script, for each page, like for example, you have page 1, you want to write down, the first thing you want to write is a setting for that page, the panels on that page, what settings are they? It could be more than one setting, but what's the setting on that page, okay? So if you have your story in mind now, after writing your concept form and everything, fill out that setting part and put in there, like, where is this story taking place? On this page, where are we? Are we on Mars? Are we, in a coffee house? Where is your character in this page? And it could be a couple of different places.
Time and place.
Time and place, yeah. And this will help you start thinking about what you're gonna draw, like your backgrounds, right? Like, are you in a coffee shop? Are you in the forest? You're gonna draw trees, it gets you thinking about what's around your character. What world is your character in, okay? And then you'll see the line that says characters on it. So that, obviously, you're gonna write the character. You just made a character list, so you can write all that, not just the main character, but all the characters that you've just created. If you only have one character, that's fine too. So that's where you're gonna write down all the characters. And then the summary is where you're gonna write down just the gist of what's on that page, just that one page. What part of the story are you telling on that one page, okay? And it might help you write the summary. Maybe you can go back to it after you think about like these panels that we have. It's very simple. So each page, you don't have to limit yourself to 3 panels. On this page, we have 3 panels just to help you guys kind of understand the flow. So if you see, it says on the first panel it says setup, and the second panel says hit, and the last panel it says aftermath. So for every page, and you can, like I said, you can have more than 3 panels, or you can just have one big panel. It's called a splash page. But for every page, you want to think in that direction. You want to think setup, hit, aftermath. Okay, so that's part of the storytelling. Okay, so for example, your character walks into a coffee shop. That's the setup. Okay, so that's your setting. Your character's walking into a coffee shop. You're setting that up. Okay, and then for the next panel, what happens? Your character gets punched in the face by a random person or something. I know I'm violent right now, but so that's literally a hit, right? So all of a sudden there's action, right? For the second panel. And the third panel, your character's standing there disoriented. That's the aftermath of just being punched in the face, right? Your character's like seeing stars, or just disoriented. So that's the aftermath. So that's kind of how you tell the story in a comic book script. You want to think of it that way. You want to set up the scene, and then the hit, where the main action is happening, and then the aftermath, okay? And then another thing to think about is this is a comic book, it's not a novel, so for us writers especially, we have to really think actions. Every single thing you write in here has to be an action that an artist can, or you yourself can draw out, okay? So everything has to be an action. If your character is walking into the coffee shop, you want to show your character, opening the door to the coffee. She says coffee shop on top. You want to think visually. How can I or somebody else draw this out? Okay. So this is very simple. It's 3 panels. Like I said, if you want to create more panels out of this, you can. Don't limit yourself. Or if you want to use less than 3 panels, you can. But as long as you're telling the full story, from the setup, the hit, and the aftermath, that's a complete story.
So is this like
So yes, good question. In this one, this is a comic book script. You can use words, you can use stick figures, you can use whatever you think is gonna be the best to, clearly define what's gonna be in that panel. I use a combination, like I can't draw, but I can use stick figures sometimes. I definitely use words for dialogue. You wanna use words for those because that's gonna be, written in the comic book. But sometimes I'll use stick figures in addition to the explanation in words to just show the artist, or just to know where the character is located in the panel, because that also matters, like what angle and all that stuff that Carlos will go over with you in a little bit when you get to the drawing part. So you want to use whatever you can, words, stick figures, little doodles, anything you can in here to explain clearly what action is taking place in each one of these panels, okay? All right, any other questions? Let's keep it simple. It's 3 pages, so that way you'll have time to actually, draw this out. It's 3 panels, 1 page. So.
Beginning, middle, end. Super simple.
That's the storytelling trick.
So you could just write like what happens at the beginning and then what happens in the middle and then what happens at the end of the story?
Yeah. Exactly. Beginning, middle, end of the story. Except in this one, it's only 1 page, so you want to make it something, simple. You won't be able to fit your whole story, your entire dystopian zombie story in this page, right? So you have to find just, one part of the story that you can fit on this page, a small part of it. But still tell it like beginning, middle, end, like a story. Okay? So give you guys a few minutes to write that out. Once that's done, then it's just drawing time. So.
Another 10 minutes.
If you need help thinking about your story, let us know. Remember, think in actions. Think in actions. And try to keep it simple if you can. That'll just make it easier when you have to draw it later. Or someone else has to draw it later. Simplicity is the key. This is just 1 page of your comic or graphic novel, but like I said, for each page you want to think in a full story arc, beginning, middle, end. Set up a hit after that, every page. Because you want them to turn the page, you want them to want to keep reading, so. Give them a full story.
that so things like this won't happen
Okay,
again.
restart the humanity.
Yeah.
So you got the story going, so have you thought of an idea for what the cover will look like? Like, usually when you think of a cover, you think of like either a scene in it or like the character doing something.
Well, I think we do.
Okay. I don't remember if I said this, but in each panel, make sure you're focusing on one action per panel. So if you have, I mean, for each character, so, because it's not a movie, you know, it's still, so each character can only be doing one action at a time in each panel. So if you need more than 3 panels, you can divide these panels up, but each panel can only have one action. Because you have to be able to draw that one action in it, so. So that's why I think about the most important action to the story.
So you were talking about this, describing like the idea for the cover.
Well, if I was going to divide like my story into like parts, like sometimes stories are divided into like 7 books. Like the first book would be like her meeting, like so the main character getting the powers, and then her meeting villains, but not essentially knowing that they're villains.
Okay,
So what they're up to, kind of thing.
that's a good idea.
Because like first, because they're so the twins are trying. I mean, they're actually triplets kind of thing. So the triplets are like trying to destroy planets like one by one. So the first one is to do the Earth, to do Earth.
Okay, so I'll probably write those notes down there, that way when you get home, or later on, you can have an idea, like, this is what I wanna start drawing for the cover, and then you're gonna start making your pages and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a page in here too for a cover. That you can draw.
Yeah, that's a cool story. Done anything? What's your story now?
The fire and order and the girl and Air, his sidekick, saves him and puts the killer person there in the jail. And Harold just did.
You have to draw the legs like, it's like, the pictures are all the way, I don't really know what to.
Don't worry
You
about the
don't know what's
drawing
what?
too much.
I had an order.
Because he's gonna go over with you angles and how to fit the body in there. and
Well, you could
all that
like,
stuff.
do like a little line there and divide it up.
Yeah.
And get, I'll put like extra notes. Or you want like another sheet of paper to kind of write it in or something? Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry too much about your drawings yet, guys. Because Carlos is gonna go over how to, how to get the angles right, and how to, fit all your characters in there, where they need to be. So, I mean, it's good that you have an idea in your head what you want them to be doing, and where you want them to be, but don't. No, that's good.
Just kind of,
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, no, that's interesting.
Almost done already?
Graphic, no, my concept is too broad.
Well, it's good to start from general and then get to specific. It's okay if you like over note right now, because then whenever we get to that next and last portion, I'll show you how to distill those thoughts and make it more specific. But I wouldn't censor myself at this stage. Very good. How about you?
Back
See how going?
Doesn't look like everything's done. Fast. Okay. So this, So in this panel, we just see the planet, and this is like zooming in the planet. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, and then you can do that, yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good place to start. Set up, and then you can get the planet.
Thumbs up, mister. You usually write before you draw, or you like to draw before you get your story done?
I do the story first in bullet format, and then I draw it out and do. I'm so backwards because I do text bubbles first before, and I do art around it,
Yeah.
rather than do the art and then text bubbles over it.
Like you always have to pick, depending if you're more of a writer or more of an artist, because like if you do the art first, and you say, how do I squeeze the bubbles in there? You say if you do the lettering first, then you build a template around, then you always don't have to worry about, I'm gonna fit this in.
And also, I'm trying to teach myself to let the story design the panels, rather than have the Kirby 16 of boxes like that. I'm trying to break it up a little bit more.
Can you do a hand letter too?
I do black ring.
Yeah, 'cause I like a really good penmanship and it's clear, I was like, you probably can handle it. So I think, even as a simple video, even if you wanted to expand more panels into it, you got a good solid script.
I think that's a first page of like 6 or 8 probably, because there's a lot going on in these two.
Yep. Well, we're gonna get into pacing and storytelling in the next segment here.
Okay.
But I think you have a good solid start and you got the concept down of, beginning, how to set it up, conflict hit, and then aftermath. And then you can still even let it open up, like, okay, what happens next?
Right.
How to get the
So
story.
whatever character is in that panel, or whatever, how many of the characters you have, they can only be doing one thing.
Do you have any ideas for a front cover though?
Keep it simple.
Mhm.
You don't have to get too complicated.
How do you like covers? Like more designy or more like
It can be,
scene in
the
the
character
front,
could be,
like a
like I said,
highlight
character
of,
could just be
This
going
one
down
would
to
probably
get
be
one
more
conflict.
designy.
It can be very simple.
Like, say like we've got
You don't have to
the cover
set
like
tell
this.
the whole
We probably
complicated
have
story
like
that
a
you
perspective
don't
shot
have.
of like alleys and trash cans.
I mean, or you
and
can,
scenes.
it's fine,
And then
but
down here would be
I'm just saying, because when you're gonna draw,
graffiti.
whatever
of
you
the
wrote
title.
here is exactly what you're gonna draw. So whatever you wrote,
Maybe like
you
a
have to be
sky
able
on the
to imagine
background,
how you're gonna draw it exactly in one panel.
but just do
one
like 2 or 3
action
colors, like a blue and a
Got
pink
it?
for the sky, and
Okay.
then just like
So
solid.
that's
like
what I'm saying,
everything
just
else.
keep it
It's
simple.
like a lithograph kind of.
yeah.
You can't fit your whole story on this one
So
page.
you don't
It's
coloring
not
too?
gonna
You
happen.
maybe some coloring?
This is just a
Yeah,
intro.
Photoshop is a master of full
This
thing.
is not intro, right?
Yeah, the only thing,
No, it
the
doesn't
studio
have
thing
to.
needs to have
No, that's
coloring
fine.
to it, cause you can only do RPG,
I'm just saying,
RGB,
just
no CM1K, at
Right.
least not
keep it
yet.
simple.
Right.
I think it's that, I think
But
we're
the drawing
pretty
ain't
on
too good.
You can do
That's
animations
okay,
now
it's not
for
about the
studio.
drawing right
Oh,
now. It's
really?
just about having
Like
the
if you
story.
upgrade,
That's better
I
than
mean,
my
not upgrade, but get like the latest update.
Do the whole one.
I never use it,
I
I
like how
don't
you
know,
put the
but
action.
But for my book, for what I'm doing, I just do cell shaded. I do like the main color and then like a highlight of that color, and then just it's solid. Let me see if I've got anything.
It's good.
you doing the flats and stuff.
Tell you
Yeah.
how to.
And a little bit of patchwork
Are we
in
gonna
there.
do
But,
this?
You're gonna practice on these. Since that's why we only have you do 3,
There's
simple
a
panels, so you can actually
pen of my
use these.
issue number 2.
There's different sizes, different page sizes.
Print your own sheets too?
This is what splash.
11 by
page.
17.
So
cheaper.
he's gonna show you how all of them work, and then you can figure out which
What kind
one
of
you
paper
want.
you use?
It's just the normal like copy paper.
Oh, okay.
It's just at work I got one of the giant photocopiers that has 1 by 17, right? So I uploaded a file onto a thumb drive, just a simple blue frame.
You
Where
rewriting
I
it?
put my markings, and I just
Rewriting
print out the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, you got your own template, and you print it out in blue, right?
And then I buy you can get
What do you
blue
need?
5mm like
Okay, what I was trying to say
Yes.
was keep it as simple
I got
as
5 or
possible.
6 boxes of that. Little like
No. You don't have to
And
erase that. You can
So
keep
this
that.
is
but
a
you
regular
use
copy
a
paper, do you
too.
use like, cheap ink, like, or Sharpies on it, or do you use?
I've got some Copic markers and some other stuff.
This is the brainstorming part.
Cause yeah, 'cause if you're
Basically
doing it
what
on
I'm saying
cheap, a
is,
regular
each
copy
one of
paper,
these, one action.
both the
unit,
Sharpie
one
is something
action
cheap,
unit.
but if you're gonna like do in like
Very
Copic,
simple.
like those are expensive market,
Okay.
you
And
know,
then
you get our
this is just
tablet.
page 1 You know, it's
Definitely,
gonna have
yeah,
more
like 800
pages where
series,
you
draft
can
more
write
400
the
series,
story.
nice heavy duty paper.
But this is just
And you
one
can still
page
even
of the
print,
story
you know, home,
with 3
that way
simple
you can,
panels.
like,
There's setup,
just make the most of it.
hit,
Right.
aftermath.
Because if you have like cheap paper and use good ink, it's like, it's not like a waste, but it's like, you want like good paper, you can like, you know, really soak it up and make the most of it. And then you can sell those originals and stuff. But then if you're using this cheap paper, like, just Sharpie and like big, man.
But it's okay, don't,
Like
don't
that, don't
stress over
overextend
it,
yourself on like
because
good ink
the
on
next
like
part
cheap
you're
paper
just
that's
gonna
gonna
be
like,
learn how to draw,
not
it's
even
not
worth
when
the
you go home
paper on
and,
it.
True.
you know, finish
Just
figuring
for,
it
like,
out.
economic sake.
So,
But this is really good.
Let me see if I can find part one in there somewhere.
This is really good stuff.
alright,
And we're about to get into the
drawing time,
drawing time.
yay, let's do it.
We'll see it in a second.
Alright, go ahead.
We're gonna get into this next part. You got something to say?
No, just, no, I'm good, I was just gonna say put number on for
Alright.
pacing ourselves here.
Okay, so right now it's 10 minutes to 3. So we're gonna have like about 45 minutes for like the last drawing portion. 3:30 we're gonna clean up, and we're gonna have like a survey. We wanna see what you guys think of the workshop, evaluate how you guys felt and what you guys thought of the workshop. And if you guys wanna take a picture with us, we'd love to take like a nice little group shot. If not, it's cool.
You don't have to.
And that'll be it. So now the last section is how we're gonna the last section is how to tell your story with the comics. Right? We got used to making a character, making it look cool. We know how to write a story, beginning, middle, end. Now how do we actually draw these things out? Right? So the first thing we want to think about, we already have the story, but how are we gonna draw it? How many panels? Here we have 1 page, 3 panels, but it might be flexible on that. So you see here on page 7, has a this is if you want to make your whole big page, or if you don't know what you want to make for your 1 page, you can try different ways of making, your panel pages, right? It could be like, you got 1 page.
I have a question.
Do you have any extra things? Because this one is kind of,
Drawing out.
Extra what?
Sharpie.
Sharpie on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Stick figures. Before even stick figures, the first 4 lines is the page, right? A rectangle. Now here in this page, we drew room for 3 panels. So the easiest thing, you got 1 beginning, the setup, you got the hit, you got the aftermath. Alright, that's the basic one, just beginning, middle, end. But how many different ways can you make 3, right? So let's say you want to be the coolest part of the story is that you want to make a setup, set up the environment. You want to draw the eye in and kind of set everything up. So you might want to make a big setup. Then you want the conflict to be something not too important, but something that happens, right? So you're having the coffee, the walk-in table, you want it to make like, this is a really cool coffee shop and all this cool stuff is happening and action happening in the background and somebody sitting there, right? So then when the hit could be really small. And then you want the aftermath to be big. Then there's another idea. You can make the setup big and then do it like that. Or even 1, 2, setup hit, and then aftermath big. So the first thing you want to think about is the square. Before you even think about drawing stick figures or your character, think about, we're gonna draw 3 squares, or 4 squares, or 5 squares. How many squares you want to put in there, and what's gonna be like the coolest thing, the less coolest thing, most important, least important thing. How's it gonna start? What's gonna happen in the middle? What's gonna happen in the end? Right? So here we have the templates, where you could try out different ways of kind of figuring that out. So if you have a lot of little ones, you could try a lot of different combinations and see what combination kind of works out the best. Because you don't want to draw all this super cool detail stuff and then it's like, wait, now I gotta erase this whole thing or this doesn't work for the story. So you want to just think about the squares first. How you gonna divide up your page, for each page. So it might take a couple tries, or you might just take one try and you have like a really long story happening. Then you're gonna pick out your favorite ones to kind of draw later, and save all the rough drafts for later. Like how you write your first draft, your rough draft. This is for your rough drafts. And if you have like extra notes or stuff that happens, you can write them down here. And then we also have smaller, bigger versions. Is when you can make slightly bigger ones, and you can put maybe some more stick figures, or you get little bubbles and stuff. So like they're doing something here, your buddy, he's screaming at somebody else is over here. What's up? You just want to kind of start placing like, okay, this person is doing something here, they're doing something over there. And then there's a big old building behind them. This is like their house right here. There's a sun right here. Just kind of think about what's happening in there. Here's it's called for the double page spread. Like you see in some comics that you can open up and it's like, thing goes across both pages. So this is just a template for you to kind of try out how to design one of those for yourself, if you wanted to do so. And you see on the top, you write the title, the issue, what page number, and you put your name as the artist. And this is just a bigger page from the smaller ones. And then this is a splash page. This is usually see that in some comics, just like one big panel, like that's the introduction to the story. It's like the ending of a story. If you just want to work on like one big panel, the same works as just like anything else. Like the small ones that you designed, but let's say you just want to make one big one. And then then every line here is for a different part for printing out the page. So in the middle is called the live area. This is the part that you don't want. You want all the words that's going to be in there. Nothing that you want to get cut out goes in here. And the trim, that's what's just going to get cut off when you print it out. Or if you're going to publish it online or something, make sure that's the end part. And the bleed, that's where any excess kind of hangs out. Ready? So the first thing you want to think about is like what happens first and how do I want to draw it? What happens second? How do I want to draw it? What happens third? How do I want to draw it? In the best way possible, clear way possible. You have your comments there to kind of look, you can analyze them, like, how did they do that in this book? What's the character doing in this panel? So, look at how the different pages look and what they're drawing on. Sometimes they have like a zoom out, sometimes they have a close up, sometimes they just, mostly words, sometimes they're not saying anything. So look at your favorite comics and what they're doing to kind of get an idea how to tell your story. Any questions? Good to go? And start simple, like stick figures, start with you start with squares, save the details for the last part. And all the extra stuff. Like your buddy said he was flying, right? So alright. The first thing he's doing is flying. So we have like the little sheets here. And then, how many different ways can you draw a guy flying first? Yeah, you can use that one. So over here, you have this angle flying. You have this angle flying. You have the head here, the hands. And flapping. Is it just swooping down? Okay, good flapping around. So now you're getting into the storytelling part, the pacing of the story. doing their job. Makes sense. Oh, you got some stuff to show?
Yeah, I forgot I had proofs in
Awesome.
the binder.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like the design and stuff. Let's see. Coming when?
It's already here, that was an old one.
You do graphic design with them too, right? Cause you do this? Yeah. So you got a lot of skills, man. What do you feel is kind of holding you back, or do you feel like you want to kind of overcome in your
No, I
process?
just, that, basically just social media, getting myself out there and getting the time to do it, cause I work a full-time job and I've got kids, so finding the time is rough.
Yeah.
Disciplining.
Yeah, my discipline is not the greatest discipline.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with that too. The only best way that I could find out to do it is you have to planning it like a doctor's appointment. You know, and starting off small. Like, I'm gonna spend all of Sunday from 12 to 8 p.m. just drawing, because guess what? You do everything except that.
Right.
But like starting off as small as, you know, like 5 minutes for like a half hour. You know, like, okay, I know this is when the kids are gonna be asleep. You know what's gonna bother me. Wife is gonna be chilling, or husband's gonna be chilling, whatever. And that's a way, you know, creating that window for yourself and like dedicating, say, okay. And then like preparing for that window. Not just, okay, I'm gonna have the window, and then like, okay, what am I gonna do?
Right.
Like making your mind revolve around, yeah, I have a half hour, this is half hour. Even if it means like, yeah, I did a couple sketches and then social media for like a half hour, just like showing off like, you know, this stuff. Like, this is the first page, check it out, more on the way, whatever. Getting that momentum going. Cause the work is solid. You have a little story, you can make a whole mini, at least a mini out of this.
This is actually in anthology, and then the ones below it is the first part of the issue number 1. That's actually my favorite
Wait,
page right
let me
there.
see that.
No, I like the way you set this up.
Yeah. Like all the cross panel, that's really cool. Wow.
Yeah. You're not afraid to experiment, so that's good. How much is it? 10 pages?
It was 6 pages, I think.
Yeah, so you have a solid mini.
Yeah. Like I said, that was in an anthology. It's like a 0 issue that goes along with the
Yeah.
other one.
Yeah, like we used to make mini, you know, it's called zines or mini comics. And you could print these at home, but like, you take like a sheet of paper, and you print, you know, format is print like that. You set it up on your Photoshop, you know, shrink these down, make sure the pages are aligned properly.
But one thing that I'm going to experiment with is that this is upside down. This is the first few pages of my issue 1. I forget. Okay, I need to not go anywhere. But I think I'm going to start experimenting with the borders because I've rounded off the corners.
Yeah.
And then that one that I showed you on my phone is different. So each panel and page setup is going to represent a different plant.
Oh, okay.
So
Now you can a lot of stuff in.
hopefully it works.
Well, this storytelling is the most important part. People can
Right.
read it and it gets it. The subconscious stuff, the subliminal stuff is just a matter of making your aesthetic stand out.
Right.
The storytelling is clear. You have characters and you have storytelling skills. But I think just like maximizing your available resources. Like this is cool, but then if you have, like let's say you get cardboard, you know, some kind of old tag or something, like thicker paper, and then you got you this paper on the inside. You can print color copy or you can black and white on the inside and color cover. And you have your ash can, you know. You got it right here. Get yourself a style stitcher, or you know that way you can just staple in the middle. These same pages, shrinking it down, and you have a little stack of books. You can carry with you, and you can hand out or sell. But so you do this, then in the back, you make sure you have the website, contact, use it as your calling card. So that way when you're visiting conventions or any kind of opportunity, you see my, you know, already like contact with, you have something to give away or you can sell. And sometimes even comic book shops will buy some off of you, you know, if they want to support local town or something. That way you're like, still using the same material, but then monetize on it. Or at least market yourself more.
Okay.
Just an option,
No, yeah, that's a good idea.
because this is good quality stuff. Now that, who you are, in the back, who you are, what you do, what the story's about, little, you know, like you have the summary pitch back here. You talked about the
Yeah.
concept form.
Right.
Yeah, that's what this is for. I'll show you real quick. Yeah, you already have the title, like this is, you know, Orville 47, log line, the one-liner. Then you pitch, you can write that in the back. You know, you have that typed up, something like quick and pithy, you know, get them excited to kind of turn into it. And at the bottom of that, make sure you have your name, how they find you, you know, social media, email, contact. That way, wherever you give it out, wherever you get to, they can like, trails back to you. Don't forget your copyright and date your stuff.
Yeah.
Claim your ownership.
Yeah. I guess I know for another batch for
Yeah.
that.
And also the good thing is you have like all this work. If you want to get published, or submit to publishers. You want to see 5 pages anyway, so you already have your 6 pages. You flesh up, make sure your characters are fleshed out. You could start putting together your pitch package. You know, at least to see what's out there. See if you get you know, at least get for distribution and stuff. So you already got everything, man. Just continue to water these seeds.
Okay.
Sound good?
Thank you.
You wanna look at this other
Yeah,
stuff?
go ahead. I'm gonna keep this last page done.
Oh.
It's unless you wanna look at it outside, cause it's,
Yeah, I'll look at anything.
okay.
Yeah, I like around the corners. We used to do we had to do handmade, like those comics and stuff, and we made the covers. I made one like about this guy, like an MMA fighter, and he was training and stuff. So I made the cover like a heavy bag, so it was round, so all the pages were round and cut out. It was cool, but it was also a pain to make. So these round covers, you could even use it to make the whole look of your actual little book. You make kind of these handmade books. It was like space capsule, a spaceship, seed book, and stuff like that. So whatever little thing you could use to stand out, use it to your advantage. You know, and I know color could be expensive, so like if you don't want to like waste too much on the color copies, save that for like, you know, the online and the digital stuff. But then when you're printing out, black and white inside, colored on the outside, that way you get the attention and people will still read through it. And you come out with the colored copies later on when it's more developed and stuff. Like each step you can build on and use it as content to share. That way you just continually you're working but not feeling like I don't know what I'm doing on social media or sharing. Like people say like, oh, he's doing a work in progress today, you know. Now he shared a page, now he just shared a panel and stuff. And, you know, make the characters come to life through, you know, make them, you know, personas and stuff. Like in my when I do my social media with my characters, like, yeah, today this girl's, you know, fairy, her name is Damien, like, she's feeling like fancy or she's feeling cute today. So that's why she's doing this. So, yeah, being personable is a cool way, because you can just hide behind a cartoon and be yourself and push it as much as you can. Because then that's just going to get people to read the book more. Because, like, man, they're so cool with their, you know, their little posts and stuff. They're just quippy, or I like this character or this character. Yeah, just make it like a game, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, have fun with it because it's free. And it's already complicated enough. You know, it's kind of like throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks for a little bit. But having that consistency and that dedication to it is like, that work is gonna speak for itself. And it's gonna kind of grow organically. You know? Cause like, people are gonna be like, yo, I like this style, it reminds me of so and so. Like you said, like, I love Art Crumb, but is Art Crumb doing anything anymore? Like, he's not doing Art Crumb. Isn't it Art Crumb?
Harry Crumb was the one that was from the 60s. I think he's dead.
Yeah.
I do.
So you're gonna give them a sense of nostalgia with a flair for the futuristic. So that creates a tapping into a certain audience. People that like that aesthetic, and also people that like this kind of story, but bringing it into a contemporary relevancy that works to to your advantage, that's gonna make you unique, you know, different in my audience, different in her audience.
Right.
If you just want your audience, like, you keep doing what you're doing and keep selling what you're selling.
Right. Yeah, that's why.
But, I mean, it's solid, man. Like, the words aren't repeating, clear, you have a unique, lettering. Also, I don't know if you may be interested, but there's also websites that you could turn your handwriting into an actual font. That way you don't have to say it, you know,
Right.
draw it out yourself. Yeah, that's also an option. Or sometimes what I've done is I'll make the bubbles and everything, and then I'll write it, I chase it over my pen and shape. That way just to get, still even that little hand feel of drawing, but not feel like, you know, digital is just kind of tricky drawing stuff. Especially letters, like drawing you get kind of like do an adjustment, like sometimes with lettering, as much as I like writing. You know? Yeah, man. I think you got it going on, man. I wanna see you continue though. Everybody just storytell it out. Got your stick figures in. There's some squares. There's some figures. There's some panels. So, it was 3:10. It's a little early, so. Anybody still working on their stories and stuff, or we kind of cool? All right, so let's do the PV sketch, right? Talk about that. Kind of already did.
Okay, good. Everybody got their panels drawn out? What you had written?
Not all of them. Are you supposed to do all of these?
No, these
No,
are.
like the one, remember you wrote the page
Oh, yeah.
panels? So that's this is like, we want you to have time to draw those out.
I have to start over sometimes because I have trouble with with the panels being too small. But switch.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, the small ones is for you to continue starting over. Just more how to think is like how many panels you're gonna do per page, and like remember like the different sizes. You're gonna do them like wide, or you're gonna do them like small. So just kind of think. That's more to just think about that stuff. But then the bigger ones, you can actually get into the actual drawing. But, yeah, but if everybody's done, we could just start doing the surveys then.
Okay, so as you guys keep drawing, I mean, there's still plenty of time for you guys to keep drawing. And finishing up your stuff. So, of course, everything you worked on in here, you guys can go home and keep working on it, because, you know, it takes time to make a full comic. In these panels, whatever you drew, I think Carlos already mentioned this, but start with light pencil, and then I know I gave you guys Sharpies and stuff, but always start with the light pencil and then go back in and clean it up with the Sharpie, okay? So, that way, when you put the ink pencil, you can erase, and the Sharpies you can't. So, when you guys go home, like, you know, keep working on it, keep building your story. You only wrote one page here, 3 panels, so you can keep writing the next page and the next page, you know, the page before, whatever, and keep using these templates to draw things out. You can find these online too, right? These templates?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can find them online, print them out if you want to, or you can just draw them out yourself on paper, you know, with a ruler and stuff, and
You can scan that in,
you can scan these into your computer.
or if you have a tablet, you can take a picture and draw with the picture on the
Do they
layer.
still sell the full size like cardstock ones at comic shops?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's some. I buy them at the art stores, like at the comic shops. I don't
Yeah.
like to draw on. Like you want to draw like a blick, sandflags. Yeah, but if you just buy the card, so if you want to buy the actual paper and stuff, yeah, you have to buy it at an art store.
Mm.
Comic shops, some are like the plastic and the cardboard for like the actual comic
That's
stuff.
Yeah, like this stuff we got from the comic shop. It's covered
The board and bags.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it, not really. Okay, So yeah, you guys go home, or you can work on it here too, we're not done yet, but when you go home, that's the idea, to keep building on the story, keep building on your panels that you've written down, your scripts, and start inking, with, if you have Sharpies at home or markers, whatever you can use, or professional tools that you have. You can do it, like Carlos mentioned, if any of you have like iPads or something at home, or a computer, you can take a picture of the panels that you're drawing right now. You can take pictures of these and put on your iPad, and you can start drawing on that, or upload it, scan it, upload it to your computer, and draw on that digitally on your computer. If you have an iPad or a computer that lets you draw on it, basically. Okay, and then if you guys look at the last page, page 17. This is our Prime by Sketch. It's PV Sketch Challenge. It has see the hashtag and stuff there. This started last year. We started like last summer or something.
2015.
2015.
16.
Oh yeah,
2016.
and Heroes Con, right? 2016. Sorry, forgot what year it is. Started in 2016. We have a lot of artists who do the PV Sketch Challenge. They draw it. They upload it onto their social media like Instagram or Twitter, or they give it to us and we upload it. Basically, it's to help create a community online of artists. So we have an established artist, new artists, everyone in between. We have hundreds of artists that are up there. If you search, if you have social media, and you can search for it.
You can Google it too, it's online.
Yeah, you can Google it, hashtag PV Sketch Challenge, and you'll see hundreds of artists, with their sketches and stuff. So we'd like you guys to contribute too, if you can, if you have social media, or if your parents let you use theirs to put it up. You can, go home, draw something cool on it, draw the characters that you worked on today. You could draw that, you could draw whatever you want, really. It's just a way to get your art out, so we can help, promote you and get you up there with all the other artists. So that, and hashtag, this is your own hashtag that you can write. The @ symbol is, of course, your name on social media, or whoever, if you use your parents' social media, their social media handle. And then make sure you use these, tag Prime Vice and use the hashtag PV Sketch.
Yeah, tag us so we could find you and like you and repost it.
Yep, and so we can follow you too.
Yeah, we want to follow you too.
Yes, so that's that. If you want to know more about, we have, like we said, we have lots of these workshops. We actually have another, where's the,
This is so mill shoe.
oh, you have it over there, okay. Yeah, so we have, I know you guys were talking about cons earlier and how it's expensive and all this. We actually are organizing a mini con with the Sewell Mill Library Cultural Center. It's in Marietta, and it's free. It's open to the public, and there's gonna be like almost 100 artists and vendors and cosplay. There's gonna be workshops, this workshop and a couple of the workshops. There's a cosplay competition at the end. There's gonna be food trucks and King of Pops and all that stuff. So it's a whole day con on July 21st, if your parents give you permission to go. It is free though, so you don't have to, you can use your cosplay costumes that you got. And and your mom doesn't have to worry about buying you a ticket and stuff. So, I know, right? So we're gonna give you the flyers. We're gonna give you the flyers for that too. That's next month. But we have a ton of these free workshops and some not free ones. But they're all on the Prime Vice Facebook page, the events page. And if you go on primevice.com, the website too, you should be able to find out about it. If you don't have a Facebook, it will be on your parents' Facebook. So it's keep following us. We have a lot of workshops, and we're going to be back at the Wren Center on July 23rd.
So,
Right? After the mini concert. Monday, July 23rd. We're going to be back here, so if you guys want to come back to this workshop, you already have your workbook, so we can just keep working on your story that you already started today in that workshop too, okay? So,
invite your friends.
yes, invite your friends. We still had a little bit of extra room today. It's a small room, but yeah. Invite your parents too, because we teach grown-ups as well. Yeah, what else? We got a little survey here. just to see what you guys thought of the class and what, how we can improve it, what we should keep, what we should take out, what you'd like to see in the future. It's pretty simple, don't stress over it. We just wanna know what you thought. And on the top line, it says workshop location, so in that, write Wren's Nest. WREN''S, Nest, NEST. And today's date is June 20, what is today's date? I don't know, I can't think.
25th.
25th, thanks, June 25th, 2018, thank you. And then, most of it's just circling numbers and stuff. 25th, 25. 6/25/2018. Okay, and what else?
So you just collect the.
Oh yes, we're gonna collect, so like we said at the beginning, you keep this workbook, make sure your name is in there, this is yours to keep. The rest of the materials, we're gonna collect from you. There was pencils, Sharpies, highlighters, and pens and rulers, so there are 5 things that we're gonna collect from you back.
And the comics.
Yes, and the comics that we passed out too, we'll be collecting those as well. And, and once we get your materials back, we give you a sticker to take home, put on your notebook or your water bottle or wherever you want to put it. We got some stickers to give out.
I gotta turn this off.